The sun is shining on an early October Saturday. Leaves are starting to change. The city is aglow. And the final 2 days of the regular baseball season are upon us. At Citi Field in New York, Pick Sports presents New York Mets baseball today. The Mets play the Washington Nationals. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you today as the Mets play the middle game of their final series of the year against the Washington Nationals. Last night, a dramatic victory for New York as their rookie catcher Josh Thole put an end to things in the bottom of the 10th.
Well, it's fantastic watching Thole end that game. That is the third walk-off home run by a Mets catcher this year. Our friends at Elias say that's the first time that has ever happened. A .350 on-base percentage with the 21 walks for Thole as he starts to get himself in a position in spring training maybe to win that Mets job. But also Davis hit a home run, and the Mets have 7 rookies now in their lineup today.
And one of them will be the pitcher. That is Raul Valdez, the 32-year-old Cuban defector who today makes his first major league start.
Well, he has been Mr. Stay Ready all season long. Be ready early, be ready late. You have to pitch in the middle, and he's done a great job. Despite his high ERA, he's been a very valuable pitcher out of that bullpen, rewarded with his first start. Yuneski Maya has had a tough go of it. High ERA for the Nationals, more walks than strikeouts, but in his last start, a little better, 19 of 25 first pitch strikes to the Atlanta Braves.
Mets have plenty of rookies, young and old. Yesterday, Isanori Takahashi became the first Met rookie in 25 years to get to 10 wins. What can Valdez do today? All the action coming up on Picks 11. Wielded to transmit anything you want. By Bank of America. By McDonald's. Try the new Angus snack wrap for just $1.99 at McDonald's. Prices and participation may vary. And by Honda. Come see what's new for 2011 today at your Honda dealers. Live out your Mets fantasy. Suit up with Mets legends and take to the field at the Mets Fantasy Camp this January in Port St. Lucie. Get to the phone at 718-565-4376 or visit Mets.com/fantasycamp today. Keys to the game are brought to you by Cadillac. Visit CadillacTristate.com.
Well, don't fall behind. I think that's the key for Valdez. Doesn't really have a pitch count today. He'll go as far as Jerry thinks he's still pitching well. And Davis keep climbing the Mets rookie ranks. Ty Wigginton with those 71 RBIs last night. His 19 home run ties Ron Swoboda. And Wright finished the season strong. 100 RBIs add to that total.
Raul Valdez getting ready for his first Major League start. Jerry Manuel putting Valdez out there and hoping for 5 good innings. First pitch coming up. Ram, award-winning trucks. This tour of Citi Field is brought to you by Jeep. I live, I ride, I am Jeep. Sunny day at the ballpark, temperature in the mid-60s, a perfect, crisp fall afternoon. What more could you ask for on the second to last day of the season? And the ballpark, despite not being full, is certainly beautiful on this Saturday afternoon as the Mets and Nats get set to play another one after the Mets won the series opener last night. And as the kids wait on the field for their heroes, the starting lineup brought to you by Bank of America. A very different lineup today for the Nats and Jim Riggleman. He will sit Adam Dunn against the left-hander. Mike Morris hit a home run for the only Nats run last night. The prospect Wilson Ramos, whom the Nats got from the Twins in the Matt Capps deal, will get a start today. And there can't be any greater thrill for a young baseball fan to be standing on the field, have a little chat with your hero right before the game.
And let's face it, especially David Wright, to be out there. He's giving him the business. Listen to him. He's got his whole story. He wants David to hear it. He practiced it last night, ready to go. Now, David, I want you to work on your hitting this winter.
Those guys are almost as old as Lucas Duda.
Almost as tall, too.
Where do I go now? He wanted to hang out at third base for the first inning. I can't blame him.
That's great. You know, we forgot to see that young member of the Mets staff, how many cool things they do for the kids here. That's great. Raul Valdez gets the start today. A reward, to tell you the truth, for some great pitching this season, and I mean it. You know, the ERA, 5.23, you think to yourself, boy, he didn't have a great year. Listen, he was the guy that every time when something went bad, he was the guy that had to pick up the Mets. If you remember, against the Nationals, John Main's 5-pitch start. And look at the defense is brought to you by Toyota. Toyota in the Now's the Time sales event. Only at your Toyota dealers. Duda's getting his 22nd start. Pagan, 10 outfield assists. Feliciano and Wright. Up the middle is going to be Tejada and Arias. 23rd start for Tejada at shortstop. Wright, Valdez, Davis, and Tolley doing the catching. Tolley's thrown out 10 of 23, 43%.
Pat Mish had the game of his life last night. Not a victory, and that's kind of been the story of his career, but 8 superb innings.
10 punch-outs, 14 punch-outs by Mets pitchers, only 2 walks.
Danny Espinosa will lead things off for the Nats. Espinosa went 0 for 3 last night. The switch hitter who had that marvelous series against the Mets down in D.C. has been slumping, hitting just .226. But he will long remember his 2-home run, 6 RBI game against the Mets down in D.C. Angel Pagan taking care of stray baseball in the outfield before he gets set. And Raul Valdez, who made 7 starts in the minor leagues this year for Buffalo, between his appearances with the Mets, pitched as many as 7 innings in a minor league start this year, and his first pitch as a big league starter is in for a strike. It'll be Espinosa, then Roger Bernardina and Ian Desmond for the Nats in the first inning on a crystal clear day in New York. And that fastball at 86 just seems to sneak up on people.
Yeah, he just surprises people because of his change of speeds. You're going to see a lot of curveballs, a lot of change-ups from Raul. Probably more change-ups today, being a starter.
And Bernardino fouls one back, or Espinosa fouls one back with Bernardino on deck. Raul Valdez first signed a professional baseball contract in this country with the Cubs in 2004 after he defected from Cuba. He played 3 years in the Cubs organization before the Mets picked him up. And he was in the Mets system in '07, pitching at Port St. Lucie and Binghamton. But then he began an odyssey, pitching in the Mexican League, pitching in the Dominican League. And it wasn't until this spring that he finally landed back with the Mets on loan from a Mexican League club. If you remember, when we first saw him this spring, he was wearing number 96 with no name on his back. He had just arrived.
Johnny Franco told me a story. He was in spring training. He watched Valdez pitch against the minor leaguers, struck out like 10 in 5 innings. And they said, how did he look? He goes, I don't know. He's pitching against A-ball guys. Give him a chance in the big league game in spring training. And that's when we saw him.
Made an instant impression, and after a couple of outings, he got a little better number, and he got his name on his back. And while he didn't make the big league club out of spring training, it certainly stuck in everybody's minds that he could be a major league pitcher.
He was able to get rid of his red glove that he had in spring training, get himself something a little more appropriate for a Met uniform. There's Danny Worthen. He had a lost his brother this week. Best of him and his family.
Eighth pitch of this opening at bat upcoming to Danny Espinosa. And he struck him out with a fastball. So Valdez fans the first man to face him. 1 out.
Well, these left-handed starters the last 2 nights have been pretty good for the Mets. Strikeout of Espinosa, who is a tough out down there in Washington, D.C., but has hit the skids.
Now Roger Bernardina, the speedy left fielder, hitting at .249. He has slumped in the month of September, just .165 in September, and now making his first October start. Raul Valdez, 32 years of age. Ian Desmond on deck, and Bernardina fouls it off. With Bernardina, with Ian Desmond, with Nyjer Morgan, the Nats have some speed. How their pieces are all going to come together, I think, is a more open question.
I think how good they can hit to stay on the field. One of the things that Pat Mish did last night that was great, he got ahead, then threw balls in the dirt, and it seemed to really work in striking out the Nationals hitters. They're very aggressive young hitters.
That pitchers wound up striking out 14 last night. 10 for Mish and 4 for
Isunori Takahashi. And we mentioned it during the Open, you know, we followed the progress all during the later portion of the season of John Neese as Bernardino strikes out and Valdez with back-to-back strikeouts to start his night. So 2 out.
Just like Mitch last night, the ability to throw a ball out of the strike zone when you're ahead helps Valdez here.
Anyway, we followed John Neese, and he had several cracks at getting that 10th victory and becoming the first Met rookie since Ricky Aguilera in '85 to win 10 games. But Takahashi snuck up on us.
That's right.
He got his 10th win last night, and nobody noticed. He became that first rookie since '85. Now, albeit a 35-year-old rookie, but a rookie nonetheless.
Well, also, you know, to have the saves and the wins together.
Ian Desmond hitting at .272 and takes one in the dirt, 1-1. Desmond just 1 for his last 13, coming down the stretch of his first full season. Mike Morris hitting cleanup today, with Adam Dunn getting the day off. Popped up, Tolley looking for it, and has room to make the grab. So an impressive first inning for Raul Valdez in his first big league start. Nats go 1-2-3. Mets come up with no score. Day off today, so Angel Pagan slides up into the leadoff spot. Josh Tolley coming off the walk-off home run last night. Back in there behind the plate. And Yuniesky Maya, like Raul Valdez, a native of Cuba, will get the start for the Nats.
Remember, his first start was against the New York Mets, and he was touched up for 3 runs in his first inning of work, so you have to watch out for that matchup between him and Ike Davis. Ike Davis hit a 3-run home run off him. Here's the Toyota defense brought to you by Toyota. Now's the time sales event. Bernardino, Maxwell, and Morse. Gonzalez, Desmond, Espinoza, and Kennedy with Ramos, the heralded newcomer behind the plate. Maxwell, a couple of errors last night in left field.
Angel Pagan will lead things off. Angel was 1 for 4 last night, hitting a .290 for this season. Season that has seen him blossom as a player, getting more playing time than ever before and taking full advantage of it. And Maya's first pitch, and Pagan bluffs the bunt and takes a strike. It'll be Pagan, then Jesus Feliciano and David Wright for the Mets in the bottom of the first. With Valdez pitching for the Mets and Maya going for the Nats today, it's the first time that 2 Cuban-born pitchers have faced off starting a big league game since 2003, when Livan Hernandez, then with the Expos, faced Michael Tejera, who pitched for the Marlins. Into left center field, and Maxwell is over. 1 away. There's the all-time win list for Cuban-born pitchers. At least Tion, far and away the most prominent. But Mike Cuellar, boy, did he have a great career.
He did, and he was really a great balance in those right-handers and that great rotation for the Baltimore Orioles. Great curveball.
And Camilo Pascual, of course, pitched for those fine Dodger teams in the mid-'60s, in addition to pitching for the Washington Senators. Jesus Feliciano 0 for 4 last night, hitting a .240. Speaking of foreign-born pitchers, Chan-Ho Park achieved a milestone last night. Park, pitching in relief for Pittsburgh through 3 scoreless innings, got the victory over Florida, his 124th career win, which is now the most of any Asian-born pitcher. Feliciano with a ground ball to second base, and that's the second out. Hideo Nomo had that mark with 123 wins, and Park, who is from Korea, now dueling the Japanese pitcher Nomo, now with 124.
Did Nomo have 2 no-hitters?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pitched one at Coors Field.
He was like a comet.
Pitched the other for the Red Sox, right?
Yep.
Lewis, of course, he was a Met. Didn't pitch one here. Shocker. It's David Wright with 2 out and nobody on. David, 28 home runs, 100 runs batted in, hitting at .284 for the year. And Maya throws a curveball for a strike.
When we showed the Cuban pitchers for you pitch count guys out there and gals, complete game in that 75 World Series by Tion against the Reds, 164 pitches. CG.
Don't see too many 164s anymore.
Well, you do in 2 starts.
Well, we saw 149 this year from Edwin Jackson.
He wasn't right for a month after that. But he's been pretty good since being traded.
I remember a game that David Cohn pitched for the Mets in the early 90s. As Wright strokes one to right field, and the grab made by Morris. David threw 166 pitches, and the next day they stopped announcing pitch counts. No score after 1. Today's game is brought to you in high definition by Verizon Fios. Call 1-888-GET-FIOS. Raul Valdez set the Nats down 1-2-3 with a couple of strikeouts in the first. Mike Morris leads off the second. Morris homered for the only Washington run last night. His 14th in just 263 at-bats.
Pretty impressive home run, too, with a flick of the wrist on a pitch that was down and away from Pat Mish. Just emptied that ball into the center field, over the center field wall.
So you make a good pitch and you give up a home run, which is what stands between you and getting a win. Do you feel better, worse, or the same than if you'd made a terrible pitch that cost you that run?
Well, I think you feel better than if you had made a terrible pitch and you were ahead of him, made a bad pitch, and he hit it over the wall. He made his pitch. The other side's trying too. That's down and away. This young man has an incredible amount of power. That's 10 rows up.
Look at Mike Morris, and it's stunning to think that he came up as a shortstop with Seattle. Got that Alex Rodriguez size.
There's a lot of players that do that, don't they? They come up and you think, boy, he's going to be a great shortstop, and then they start to grow.
2 high ball 4, and so Valdez walks Morris to lead off the second, and the Nats have their first base runner. And Wilson Ramos will step in. Ramos, the rookie catcher, picked up from the Twins when the Nats dealt their closer Matt Capps to Minnesota. And this could turn out to be a terrific long-term move for Washington. They see Ramos as their catcher of the future. The Twins highly regarded him too, but with Joe Mauer signed for 8 years, no room for him. And Ramos rips one to the base of the wall in left field. Morris heads for third. He'll stop there as Duda plays it in. And Ramos pulls in at second base with a well-struck double, the first hit of the game.
Well, you were mentioning it, Gary. This is why they are just so high on this young man. Such a quick bat, fastball inside, and the ability to knock that ball one hop off the wall. Morris going to make third pretty easily once he recognizes it's a hit.
So second and third and nobody on. Here's Alberto Gonzalez playing third base these days with Ryan Zimmerman on the shelf with a rib injury. Infield back, and Gonzalez takes high ball 1. Gonzalez 0 for 4 last night, hitting .249 for the year. He's a jack of all trades. He's played 5 different positions for the Nats this year. You see the infield back, conceding a run on a ground ball.
All the national players, well, Ramos doesn't have those big reflective sunglasses.
So they should be on the highway patrol.
That's
3-0. When I see reflective sunglasses, I always think of the movie Cool Hand Luke.
That's right.
What we have here is a failure to communicate. Swinging 3-0. We've seen a lot of that lately, haven't we?
Jeez.
Must be late in the season. 3-1 now to Gonzalez.
Everyone's trying to pad their stats. Get a cookie. He got one, but he missed it.
Swing and a miss at the high fastball. Now, you know, our statistician, Dave Freed, just passed me a note. He's of a different generation. He said when he thinks of reflective sunglasses, he thinks of Eric Estrada in Chips.
Oh, jeez. Keith said he was strange 2 nights ago.
3-2, and Gonzalez hits it to right field, not deep. Feliciano's got a good arm, and Morris is not going to come. Feliciano, who threw a runner out at the plate on the fly the other night, throws a nice one-hop strike to Tolley. That's the first out of the inning.
Well, watch how Feliciano sets himself. You usually want to catch that ball on your left shoulder if you're a left-handed thrower, because that way you can get to the glove quicker. But he knew the runner wasn't going to go because he was so shallow.
So 1 out, runners still at second and third. Here's Justin Maxwell playing center field today after playing left field yesterday. He had one of the Nats' 3 hits last night, a double. The infield stays back with 1 out. You got a left-hand hitter, Adam Kennedy, waiting on deck. But if you noted Valdez's stats when we showed him at the start of the game, he has been far more effective against right-hand hitters than he has been against left-hand hitters.
He's got the kind of curveball that works better down and into the right-handed hitters. That fastball away tends to move away from the right-handed hitters. and he's got a better changeup against the righties.
So what makes his curveball better against right-hand hitters?
Well, I think against right-handed hitters is that he usually throws a backdoor or a sweeper that kind of breaks along. It's a big breaker, and the left-handers can really recognize it. Bernardino had a really good swing at his curveball in his first at-bat.
Runs that fastball inside to Maxwell, 2-1. Raul Valdez is pitching today under very unusual circumstances. He pitched in both ends of the Mets doubleheader against the Brewers on Wednesday. So he pitched in relief in 2 games on Wednesday, and now 3 days later, he's starting a game. The last time that happened in Major League Baseball, that a guy pitched both ends of a doubleheader and started as few as 3 days later, was 1994. Ismael Valdez, coincidentally enough, did that for the Dodgers, pitched both ends of a twin bill against the Phillies, and then 3 days later started against the Mets. That's inside ball 4, and Maxwell draws a walk. Here's the ironic part about that. Valdez was forced to leave the game in the second inning because he developed a blister. And Tom Candiotti, who had started in that doubleheader 3 days before, came in relief, pitched 7 innings, and got the win. Of course, Candiotti was a knuckleballer, so he had that on his side. But this is very unusual that Valdez is doing this. Base is loaded now, and Kennedy lifts one to center field, not very deep, and Pagan's got a great arm. And Morris will tag at third and again go nowhere. And so on a couple of short fly ball outs, Valdez has gotten the first 2 outs. And now the pitcher Maya will be coming up with the bases loaded.
Boy, 2/3 of the way through this inning. Nice pitching by Valdez.
By the way, the last Met pitcher to do this, pitch both ends of a doubleheader and start 3 days later, 1980, Tom Hausman. Pitched both ends of a doubleheader July 18th in Cincinnati, and then started in Houston 3 days later, and he went 6 1/3.
I played in the minor leagues with Tom Hausman, about 6'6", right-handed sinker baller.
What it tells you more than anything else, the fact that Valdez is pitching this game, is just how far out of favor Oliver Perez has gone. That he sits there in the bullpen unused while Valdez pitches in this kind of circumstance.
3 times in 3 days.
Now Valdez on the verge of getting out of a big time jam. 0-2 to Maya. He struck him out. Raul Valdez, second and third, and nobody out, holds the Nationals off the board. That's his 3rd strikeout. Middle of the second, no score. Who's Hot is brought to you by Honda. Come see what's new for 2011 today, only at your Honda dealers. The Pirates have lost 103 games, but the New Yorker, Pedro Alvarez, hot coming down the stretch. Roy Oswalt will start Game 2 of the National League Division Series for the Phillies after Roy Halladay. He's been hot. And the former Met, Bruce Chen, has won 12 games for Kansas City, including a 2-hit shutout against the Rays last night, putting the Yankees in first place by a half game in the AL East.
I'm so happy for Bruce Chen, a journeyman that's been everywhere, and started out that he was going to be the next great left-hander, and didn't pan out then, but having a fine season this year. Smart, funny, good guy, and finally having a great year.
Get the week started right with the Pix 11 Morning News. Get the news you need, the weather to get you out the door, and the traffic to get you there on time. Watch the Pix 11 Morning News weekdays starting at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. on Pix 11. Wow. 4 a.m. More likely to see that from the other side.
That's right.
It's not morning. That's late night. Ike Davis grounds one toward the middle. He's got himself a base hit. The Mets' first hit of the game. So Ike, who homered last night and homered against Maya the first time he faced him, has a hit his first time up today.
Remember that home run Gary hit last night was on a first pitch fastball. So really an idea for Ike when he comes up in that first at bat, he is not going to let a fastball pass.
He has had himself a terrific last month or so of the season. He has a great reason for optimism regarding Davis and his ability to grow from here. Here's Lucas Duda. 0 for 4 last night. And after a nice hot streak, Lucas is now 1 for his last 14. Joaquin Arias is on deck. You mentioned Bruce Chen being well-traveled. 10 different major league teams he's pitched for. But he first came up with the Braves, and it's funny, you go back to those days of the Braves with Maddox and Glavine and Smoltz. And Steve Avery, for a while, was their very, very talented fourth starter. But they always had trouble working that fifth guy in. And they've had some extraordinarily talented pitchers who've had success elsewhere in that fifth role. Duda pops one up, shallow center, long run in for Maxwell, and he slides to make the catch. And Davis got caught in between, and the ball is dropped by Kennedy, and Davis is safe at first. A little bit of a comedy of errors there. Maxwell makes the sliding grab. Davis should have been doubled up, but Kennedy couldn't handle the toss.
Well, he went back on the ball, Maxwell first, and then came in and tried to get that side angle to get his face out of the sun. Watch how he turns to the side to make that play. And when he dove, Ike was confused and didn't know if he'd made the catch or not. And by that time, he was going to be doubled up, but the short hop eludes Kennedy. Watch Ike. He thought once he went down for that slide that he missed the baseball and was going to be doubled up, but a little bit of luck.
So 1 out and 1 on. Here's Joaquin Arias, and he fouls it back. Go back to from the early 90s on, some of the guys who were in that fifth starter job with the Braves. Jason Schmidt, that didn't work out. Denny Nagel, right. That didn't work out. Bruce Chen.
Kent Merker, who had some good times.
Through a no-hitter.
Pete Smith. Well, the problem over there at that time is that those younger pitchers who were fourth and fifth starters were looked at under a unique microscope. You're watching those first three guys every night just style, night in and night out. And then when you would struggle, I'm sure that the criticism was easy to come by.
And I think also, Leo Mazzoni had so much success, and you can't for a moment downplay, what he was able to do with that staff. But he had a certain philosophy of pitching that didn't necessarily fit with the style of some of those guys we're talking about, particularly with Jason Schmidt.
I agree, and for Leo, his style was own the outside corner of the plate. If you're a right-handed pitcher, if it's a right-handed hitter or a left-handed hitter, own that outside corner of the plate. And some of those pitchers did not have the control of the Maddox and the Glavines.
And, Chen is a guy who's always pitched up in the strike zone.
And Leo always liked that ball knees or lower. That's where I think that all pitching coaches and hitting coaches should be graded. Can they adapt their style, wrap it around the style of the player and his way of doing his business?
Well, I know that's why I think that you and everybody else who pitched for Mel Stottlemyre really admired him.
Yeah, he was just a fantastic. He didn't particularly have a style. His style was your style. He was behind you 100% when it was your day.
3-1 to Arias, making his 5th start for the Mets. And the slow curve is it for a strike from Maya. That was Hernandez-esque.
Well, they say Maya, when he's at his best, has 6 different pitches. So he will take a little off, add a little bit, throw the slow curve.
Well, if you're on the same staff as Livan Hernandez,
that's right,
and you're from Cuba, you've got to throw that pitch. Livan will pitch in the season finale tomorrow. 3-2, runner not going, and Arias fouls it off. Maya has not been a strikeout pitcher, which made me think maybe Gary would put Davis in motion.
Well, maybe he did, and maybe Ike missed a sign. I mean, in these kind of games, 0-0, right-handed pitcher, can't keep you close. Come on, Ike, let's see how fast you can run between first and second.
Not. And Arias fouls off another one. Joaquin Arias is one of 7 rookies in the lineup for the Mets today. 7. Everybody except Angel Pagan and David Wright is a rookie. Feliciano, Davis, Duda, Arias, Tolle, Tejada, and Valdez.
I was telling you today, though, we got to temper it a little. The Mets have the oldest rookies in baseball.
Well, that's true. I mean, think about this. As Arias strikes out, and that's the second out, you've got how many 30-plus rookies? You've got Feliciano, who's a 30-plus rookie, Igarashi, Takahashi, Valdez. That's 4 30-plus rookies.
How old is Mike Nicholas? He's
27.
27. So our average age for our rookies is 28 years old.
Older than most teams' average roster.
It's older than the Tampa Bay's roster.
The last time the Mets had this many rookies in a starting lineup, you got to go back to 1992, which was another not so great year in Mets history. That's the year that sparked the book "The Worst Team Money Could Buy."
Who wrote that book?
That was
Harper.
Clappish and Harper.
No Pulitzer there, I guess.
Josh Tolle off his game-winning home run last night takes a strike, 1-1. Now, how many of these names do you remember from the last time the Mets had this many rookies in the starting lineup? Pat Howell, Ryan Thompson, Chris Donalds, Jeff McKnight, Todd Hundley, DJ Dozier.
Oh, the running back.
Yep, from Penn State. Kevin Baez and Eric Hillman.
Kevin Baez, St. John's kid?
Yeah, he might have been.
Yeah.
Hillman was 6'10". He went and pitched in Japan after he was done with the Mets. Couldn't get through any doorways there. 2-1 to Tolle, and it's low and away, ball 3. The last major league team to have 7 rookies in a starting lineup, the Marlins in 06.
Wow.
So pretty interesting.
That's why I made them trade me in 91. I didn't want to be part of that book in 92.
It was an interesting year, I'll tell you. And the next year, even more interesting. And the curveball in for a strike, 3-2.
You know, Gary, watching last night, Tolle hit that walk-off home run. It makes me think that if he looks in occasionally, he's not going to be a 15 to 20 guy. But I think he can hit 10 home runs in the big leagues and have a little more power. The defense is always going to play him to left. So if he looks in every once in a while, he's going to hit some extra base hits down the right field line.
Davis runs and Tolle fouls it off. Now, in this ballpark, he's only going to be hitting them down the right field line because of the way the fence blows out. But on the road where there are some more inviting right field fences, you can see him hitting a few.
Yeah, I think the thing he's going to have to do is going to have to maximize on his walks because he has a very good eye at the plate. 21 walks so far this season. Get that on-base percentage up, and I think be utilized more with the hit and run and different things that use his talents.
Again, the 3-2, and the curveball floated toward second. And there is Espinosa to grab it, and the side retired. A leadoff single Davis stranded at first. After 2, no score. Third inning, Raul Valdez has been very impressive through his first 2. An easy first, a difficult second in which he did a great job working out of trouble. Struck out 3 first time through the lineup. Denny Espinosa, the leadoff hitter, will get it started for the Nats in the 3rd. Espinosa struck out leading off the game.
Well, they love this young player, Espinosa. He is a little gamer. You know, watch him run on and off the field at full tilt. If he grounds out, he tries to beat that ball to the bag. And he's got some serious pop from both sides of the plate.
He's got a little Pedroia in him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Just bigger than Pedroia, than Petey.
Bernardino on deck, and then Desmond for the Nats. And Espinosa takes a strike. Well, the Mets got to know Espinosa in a big-time hurry when they faced him in Washington. 3rd-round pick out of Long Beach State in 2008.
Boy, they've produced some players over there, don't they? Tulowitzki, Longoria.
Those were the 3 shortstops that were there in a row.
That's right.
First Tulowitzki, then Longoria, and then Espinosa.
Wasn't Bobby Crosby there before them?
Mm-hmm. 3-2 from Valdez, and he walked him. Second straight inning that Valdez has issued a leadoff walk. There's your Verizon high-speed pitch for today. Yuneski Myers topped out at 90 miles an hour. Raul Valdez at 87. So 3 walks now for Valdez in the first 2 innings plus. And he'll take on Roger Bernardino with a man on. Bernardino struck out his first time up. And trying to bunt and fouls it off.
It's one part of the game that Bernardino has got to get a little better at. Each and every time I've watched him try to bunt, when he's bunting for a base hit, he's a little better than when he's bunting to sacrifice. A little bit like Reyes in that way.
Yeah, there are a lot of speedy players who are like that.
I think a lot of it, Gary, has to do with they're so taught to bunt on the run kind of deal. To get that head start to first base, it's hard for them to keep their feet still and stay in there. Bunt first, then run.
And he swings through the fastball. And Valdez ahead 1-2. Ian Desmond waiting on deck. Hey, look back at Raul Valdez's season, and he had that stumble in San Diego. Remember, he looked like he was pitching hurt, and he gave up just a bunch of rockets over a 2-game stretch. And that really inflated his ERA. But other than that, his ability to keep the ball out of the middle of the plate has been stunning.
And you knew that stretch he was struggling because he wasn't throwing strikes.
2-2 to Bernardina, and the breaking ball line to second. Arias back to first, but he throws it away. Heading for second now is Espinosa, and he'll make it safely. Now, all Arias had to do was make a throw on target, and the Mets would have doubled up Espinosa. Instead, he winds up at second with 1 out.
Well, I think that Arias had more time than he thought. What happened is when he caught this, he tried to get rid of it real quick instead of stepping into the throw and throw that ball on the outfield part of the base. That way it's easier for Ike to get to the baseball. That ball became between the runner and Ike.
So it's an error on Arias. Espinosa now in scoring position with 1 out. And Ian Desmond the batter. Desmond fouled out to Tolley his first time and lifts this one to center field. A lot of sun out there today for Pagan to contend with, and he handles it perfectly for the second out. And then throws it on the fly to third base. He'd rather have him hit the cutoff man, but that was impressive nonetheless.
Sometimes you got to show off that cannon, Gary. Very nice. Have the glove between his eyes and the sun, play it off to the side, and that way you never lose track of the baseball.
So 2 out. Espinosa still at second, and now Mike Morris, who drew a walk his first time up. That's already 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position in the first 3 innings of this game. Wilson Ramos, who has the Nats' only hit, waiting on deck. And a fastball strike. 1-1. The Nats lost last night 2-1 here. That was their 18th straight 1-run loss on the road, which sounds like a lot, except if you'll remember 2 years ago, the Braves had a stretch where they lost 22 straight 1-run games on the road. I think they broke that against the Mets, didn't they?
Yeah, and the last time that the Nationals won a 1-run game on the road was here at Citi Field in May.
Now, the Bill James theory has always been that if you have a lot of 1-run losses, it means you're going to be better the next year. In which case, both these teams have a lot to look forward to.
Well, I don't know if you're going to be better, but that's a place that you can look at to make your team better. Where a Jerry Manuel or Jim Riggleman, when they look at their teams, can say, you know, what do we do in those games that we could change up? Should we be more aggressive on the road when we are playing in those 1-run games? You know, I mean, it's obvious on the road it's a little tougher because the home team gets the last at bat. But there were some games earlier this season, you know, this is my opinion, but I thought the Mets didn't push the envelope to try to have some add-on runs late in the game. Were kind of passive and waiting for that big hit that never came.
Two to Morris, up and in. Well, I think it's a given that when you look at what decides close games, if you really look closely, it usually comes down to defense and base running.
Yeah, and if you do that all season long, you're going to get some wins that maybe you didn't think you deserved just by playing the game right.
3-2, and he struck him out. Raul Valdez with strikeout number 4 as he gets Morse to end the inning. Valdez like a strikeout machine. For the final game of the 2010 season, when the Mets host the Nationals, visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets. Last weekend at the ballpark, perfect time to introduce the kids to Mets baseball.
Little guy's down already. Snap time.
He'll be back.
It's snap time, yeah.
He'll be back 5th inning. He'll be ready to go.
Ready to go.
Ruben Tejada leads off for the Mets in the home third in a scoreless game. Tejada 0 for 3 last night, hitting a .206. And he takes a strike from Yuneski Maya. It'll be Tejada, then Valdez and Pagan. Valdez with the highest batting average in the Mets lineup today. A .444 hitter.
Raul can really hit. Really hit.
He got his first big league hit in that game in St. Louis, the 20-inning game, and then got thrown out trying to go to second because he didn't slide.
The base running part, we're going to work on that.
Well, if you're going to be a hitter, you got to know how to run the bases. They kind of go hand in hand, don't they? If you're going to strike out every time, then you don't have to know how to run the bases.
It's like Dwight Gooden holding runners on. Why the need?
I mean, you were used as a pinch runner because you had some familiarity with the subject.
That's right.
You used to always run for Rusty, right?
Always run for Rusty, yeah. He wasn't too happy about it because, Rusty's so proud. And he just got the knock, to drive in the key run. And, he's pepped up and excited. And then he'd have to see my face running out there. Not even a player, a pitcher running for you.
Yeah, but at least you had a player's number.
Yeah, well, that was the key.
It looked better that way. If number 56 comes in and runs for you, not so good.
No.
You had one career stolen base?
I did against the Atlanta Braves.
Who was the catcher?
No, I do know. Bruce Benedict.
Benny.
Yeah, Bruce Benedict was the catcher. I don't ever let him live that down.
Good.
Paul Zuvella took the throw.
And the 3-2 breaking ball, and Tejada's on with a leadoff walk. So the Mets have a leadoff base runner for the second straight inning. Maya's first walk, and see if Valdez gets a chance to swing or if he'll be asked to bunt. So who was the pitcher whose move that you read so well?
I don't know who the pitcher was, but I do know this. I'm pretty embarrassed to say because at times we talk about it. Someone took a snapshot of it, sent it to me to sign. Head first slide.
No.
Yes.
Well, you were a little excited.
I was. I couldn't wait to get to that base.
Valdez stabbing at it. I think he'd be better swinging. 0-1. He does have 3 sacrifices this year to go with his 4 hits and 9 at bats. Looking down at Chip Hale. Put a hit and run on. Come on. Fair ball, and Ramos will have to go to first with it. Yeah, it wasn't textbook style, but it worked for Valdez. 2-3 on the sacrifice, moving Tejada to second.
Well, this form of bunting that Valdez just showed there, it's known as the timed twitch. If you twitch at the right moment, you can get that ball down.
It's probably not the way you teach it, though.
No.
So the Mets have a runner in scoring position for the first time today, and Angel Pagan, who's been the Mets' best this year with runners in scoring position, hitting .339, 7th in the National League. I should say best for the Mets among qualifiers, because Josh Tolley actually has a higher average with runners in scoring position.
But with a lot of at-bats with runners in scoring position, he's outstanding. That's why he has 69 runs batted in. I'd like to see him get his 70th and somehow stay above 290.
We have uncovered the information.
Who's the pitcher?
The pitcher was Jeff Dedman. You see Pagan in his numbers last year when he filled in for half a season. And this year,
this thing? Jeff Deadman, don't wear plaid. That was his nickname.
Yes, Deadman don't hold runners on.
Yes.
The two big games in the National League are going to be later this afternoon. The Padres and the Giants will do battle again in San Francisco after the Padres powered their way to a win last night. They beat up on Matt Cain.
Yeah, Matt Cain was not throwing well last night.
He was topping out at 88 miles an hour. Gave up home runs to Ludwig, Gonzalez, and Stairs. Matt Stairs, 42. Still hitting home runs. Pickoff try, and back is Tejada.
Be a bittersweet irony, wouldn't it, if Barry Zito could pitch him into the playoffs after the kind of rough go he's had of it.
Tim Stauffer goes for the Padres today. Barry Zito for the Giants. Padres 2 games behind the Giants now with 2 to play, and 1 behind the Braves. Line the other way, and Pagan's got a base hit. Tejada will be held at third by Chip Hill as Bernardina fires it in. So Angel Pagan picks up another hit with a runner in scoring position, although this one doesn't play to run.
Well, he's done this all season long. That ball up and away. He has not flown out to left. He's gotten on top of that baseball and hit a line drive the other way. Nice charge by Bernardina. Really stops Chip Hale and Tejada from being able to send him home.
So first and third and 1 out, and Jesus Feliciano coming up. The Braves, who got mauled by the Phillies last night, will be hosting the Phillies again today. Tommy Hanson goes for the Braves, and Vance Worley, the rookie, makes the start for the Phillies. There's your playoff picture brought to you by Delta Keep Climbing. East and the Central decided, but the West and the wild card not.
We saw Worley pitch an inning against the Mets as they rocketed balls off his body, and he got 3 outs in an inning.
It was like a pincushion.
He was.
Feliciano lifts one to center field. Tejada will tag, but it's very shallow. In comes Maxwell diving to make the catch, and that'll enable Tejada to come on home. Sacrifice fly for Jesus Feliciano. Maxwell with a terrific play, but once he left his feet, Tejada was able to tag and score, and the Mets lead 1-0.
Well, the outfielders are having an awful tough time. This should have been an easier play, but Maxwell went back, and just the great speed allowed him to make a great play coming in on this baseball. He hadn't gone back. That would not have been deep enough for Tejada to score, but still, after misjudging it, fine play. Almost banged his nose on the turf.
They made a sliding catch on Duda's ball in the second inning and nearly doubled Davis off first base. This time an even better play, but Feliciano picks up his 3rd run batted into the season to give the Mets a 1-0 lead. Pagan, who leads the Mets in steals with 37, second in the National League. Right lined out to right his first time up. And David lines one to left. On comes Bernardina to make the grab, and that retires the side. But the Mets cash a run as Tejada races home on the sacrifice fly. 1-0 New York after 3 at Citi Field. Fourth inning, 1-0 New York. Wilson Ramos leads off against Raul Valdez. Ramos has the only Nationals hit, a solid double to left. And he takes the breaking ball on the back door for a strike. It'll be Ramos, then Alberto Gonzalez, and Justin Maxwell for the Nationals in the fourth. Valdez has struck out 4 over the first 3 innings. Ball and a strike to Ramos. And this one's lifted to left. Duda retreating and makes the grab on the track. 1 out. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
You know, guys, Jimmy Plummer was a really beloved member of the Mets team, the Mets front office, for years and years working here. He's a guy that did so many things for so many of the people that he worked with, and so many of the players, too. David Wright became very good friends with him. Just the other day, David meeting with T, his wife, and his son Jonathan here at Citi Field. And Jimmy passed away 2 years ago from multiple health ailments, but also from kidney disease. So the Mets are doing something called Walk for the Plum. And basically, it's a walk where you could donate money to help raise funds for kidney disease. And there's a website to go find out some info. It's donate.kidney.org. And you look for Team Plum on that. So it's a real nice thing the Mets are doing. It's a great way to honor a really beloved member of their family who they miss dearly. And again, you ask any of the players, and David Wright will tell you how much he did for them, especially when he got here. Just little things like helping finding housing, finding his way around, guiding through appearances, things like that. Those little things that kind of help you along the way of your baseball life. Guys, back to you.
Gonzalez flies one out to Feliciano for the second out. Well, Jimmy Plummer was a very special man, and everybody who came in contact with him over his decades with the Mets will say the same.
Yeah, he was a dear friend of mine, and after my first month in the big leagues in September, he got me some events in the postseason, in the off season, where I was able to go, and he would come up and pick me up and drive me to the events, and it allowed me to stay in New York all winter and get to not only work out in New York, but to get to know the city. And I'd go from everywhere from Staten Island to Queens to Long Island, and it was just it was a joy spending that time with him.
By the way, Kevin, it doesn't escape notice that you're standing out there amongst the Gary, Keith, and Ron supporters on the final event of the GaryKeithAndRon.com schedule for the year. Out of the bullpen plaza today, we had a chance to meet all sorts of really wonderful people. Wright throws on Maxwell to end the inning. Some of the folks with their Gary, Keith, and Ron shirts. Got GKR? Chrysler. Visit Chrysler.com or see your local Chrysler dealers today. Yuneski Maya takes the mound for the bottom of the fourth inning. He's allowed a run on 2 hits. Mike Davis has one of the 2 hits. He singled to center field in the second inning. It'll be Davis, then Duda and Arias for the Mets in the bottom of the 4th on a sun-splashed day in New York. If you can have days like these wherever you go, Ronnie, throughout the postseason, you'd be thrilled.
I wonder if that's going to happen if I end up in Minnesota in late October
or early November.
That's right.
Well, when they built the outdoor stadium this year in Minnesota, everybody was saying, well, we had the World Series here in 1965 and the weather was beautiful. Of course, then they played the World Series in the daytime in the first week in October.
That's right.
Now it's at night in the first week in November.
The thing that when I talk to people about the games outdoors in Minnesota in the day, they would always complain about the mosquitoes. That was always the problem. The land of 10,000 lakes, of course, produced tons of mosquitoes, and I wonder if that was a problem this summer.
Curveball, strike 3 called, and Davis down looking. Second strikeout for Maya. Well, I had a friend who worked for years up in St. Cloud, Minnesota, which is a little bit north of Minneapolis. He said, well, the weather wasn't terrible. He said it would start snowing around the middle of October, and it would snow until, the middle of April. He said then the bad weather would come. Tornadoes.
Oh, tornado. That's right. Or flooding.
We've started to learn about tornadoes in New York. We've never heard of them before.
Well, one swept through Brooklyn a couple of weeks ago.
We had another tornado warning the other day. Lucas Duda takes inside. The weather, she's a-changing. Duda hit one to center, and Maxwell made a sliding catch in the second inning. And that one's in the dirt. 2-1. Joaquin Arias on deck. Maybe that's what Dylan meant.
That's right.
He was from Minnesota. It meant the weather. It's changing.
Duda hits one in the air to deep right field. Morse just looks up, and that ball is out of here, deep into the Pepsi porch. What a shot by Lucas Duda. His 4th home run, and the Mets lead it 2-0.
When they talk about this young man, they talk about his innate power with that left-handed bat, and when he gets a hold of it, I'll tell you, that's Adam Dunn-like to right center. Little hanging curveball. If the fan doesn't get their hand on this baseball, that one is bridge bound.
Joaquin Arias takes a strike. That was really crushed. Duda hit 23 in the minors this year, now 4 in the big leagues. And that 1 for 34 seems like a long, long time ago. Arias hits one out to right, and Morse over near the line picks it off in fair territory for the second out.
The great thing about Duda is he's got a pretty short stroke for a big hitter. And look at the contact. Eye on the baseball, tilt of the bat, the extension through the baseball, that back leg going across the plate, and he didn't have to watch it.
Now Josh Thole, who hit the walk-off home run last night, and he pulls the first pitch he sees down the line and past the glove of Kennedy. Thole heads for second as the second baseman Espinosa digs it out, and Thole slides in safely with a double. 7th double of the year for Josh.
We talked about this earlier. This is the way for Josh to get some extra base hits. Hit the ball against the defense. Kennedy, who came up as a second baseman, playing first today, just under the glove, and a double for Josh.
So a runner at second with 2 down. We'll see if they pitch to Tejada here or whether they know the scouting report on Valdez. And he's back.
Gary Duda now 10 of his 15 hits for extra bases.
And that's 10 extra base hits and only 76 at bats. It's an awfully good ratio. They will pitch to Tejada, and the breaking ball inside for ball one. Ruben drew a walk and scored the first Met run in the third inning. And Valdez getting ready for his possible turn on deck. Mets now with a 2-0 lead. And Ramos and Maya having trouble getting together.
Well, this is the problem you have when you have a pitcher who has 6 pitches. Hard to get to the pitch you want.
Only have 5 fingers. What do you do? The G-Man, Mr. G. Boy, he's been busy this week. He's New York's go-to weather guy, giving you the heads up when severe weather's on the way and what to expect for the AM rush. Mr. G's forecast weeknights on the Pix 11 News at 10. Jim Riggleman hopes his battery's on the same page. Anode, diode. Here's the 1-0. And it's a breaking ball on the corner, 1-1. Just by nature, a battery can never be on the same page.
No.
It's always going to be on opposite ends. Taken the other way, a base hit. But playing very shallow Morse, and so Tolley has to stop at third. That's good defensive positioning by the Nats. With Tejada at the plate, the figure is not going to hit it over the right fielder's head, so he was playing Little League depth.
Hits this ball very hard the opposite way. One hops Morse in right field because of how shallow he was playing, and literally no chance for Tolley. It doesn't matter what kind of jump he gets to score in that baseball.
So now Valdez gets to show off his wares with the bat. Raul had a sacrifice bunt his first time up. 4 hits and 9 at bats, including 1 RBI. First and third and 2 down. And he golfs one foul. Tolley at third, Tejada at first.
Defense a little shallow. They're going to have to be careful. Valdez has some power.
Curveball fooled him, and he fouls it off 0-2. Raul Valdez, 3 years older than his Cuban compatriot, Yuneski Maya. Swing and a miss. He got him with a fastball, and Maya strikes out Valdez on 3 pitches. So the Mets settle for just the 1 run. The home run of the game brought to you by Ram award-winning trucks. Lucas Duda with an impressive shot. His 4th, 2-0 Mets. and 18 grams of sugar. Some of the youngsters on hand on a gorgeous Saturday afternoon. You're number one. And so are you, and so are you. Well, we thought he'd be up by the fifth, but maybe the bottom of the fifth.
Well, you know, this is great about moms, right? This is why moms are the best. She's been holding him, and he's not like small. But it's the best place to learn how to sleep at a ballpark, because that way you never have to worry at home. You can make as much noise as you want. If you can fall asleep at the ballpark.
Sometimes when you want them to sleep in that nice quiet setting, that's when they're revved up. You just never know. Adam Kennedy takes a strike.
Turn Mets fast forward on. Loop it, and he'll fall asleep again. It'll be like being at the ballpark.
Then he has to listen to us.
Yeah, that might be bad. I'd go with classical music instead.
0-2 to Kennedy, who flied to center his first time up. And he floats one the other way, and foul. Nice grab. That's the reason you bring your glove to the game, even if you're wearing that hat.
How can you wear that hat here?
Well, maybe he's lost.
Because you can't be a fan of both, can you? I guess you could.
Only if you're really a fan of neither.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
That's
People
right.
who say they're a fan of both,
Yeah.
it's because they're not really a fan of either.
Still a great catch.
It was a terrific catch. We always give credit where credit's due.
Right. What's the thing they do in Baltimore? They used to do in Baltimore. I don't know if they do it.
Rex Barney, right?
Yes.
The PA announcer. Give that guy a contract.
That's right.
And Kennedy is plunked, and he heads to first base. Fourth batter that Valdez has hit this year.
His fastball gets away. Gets him right in the shoulder, right underneath the chin.
So Kennedy's aboard to lead off. Third time in 5 innings the Nats have had the leadoff man on. They've yet to bring him around. Pitcher Maya will be up there to bunt. Struck out his first time up. Has 1 hit and 1 sacrifice this year. And he doesn't do a very good job bunting either. 0-1.
Here's the defense. Outfield could be a little shallower. You can see Arias cheating to first base. And David in.
Bunted back to Valdez. He'll go to first with it. You know, Ronnie, we've seen more and more of that with second basemen this season, I think more than I've ever seen before, where they start moving toward first base almost before the ball is pitched.
You're taught to not move towards first base. What you're taught is you move in almost onto the infield grass, and then you make a left turn to go to first base. Why are they doing like this now, Gary? I would think it's game 161, and I think they are not on point. But your play is to come into the field, almost onto the grass, moving towards the hitter, and then when he lays the bunt down, then to bolt over to first base.
There's Danny Espinosa, who struck out and walked 0 for 1. And a fastball swung and missed. Espinosa doesn't get cheated up there, does he? Roger Bernardina in the shadows. Toldy with a good block. 1-1.
I found out something the other day that I did not know, and I'd never heard about it, as we see both pitchers having trouble with their catcher with men on base. Greg Maddux used to call his next pitch by how he caught the ball from the catcher.
Really?
So if he caught it, moved his body to the right of it was a certain pitch. If he caught it right in the middle of his chest, it was a certain pitch. But he would do certain things in catching the ball from the catcher that would let the catcher know what to call next.
Is that amazing?
Never heard of that before.
I hadn't either.
It's very dependent on the catcher being accurate with his throws, isn't it?
Well, maybe that's why I always wanted Eddie Perez.
I guess. Or Henry Blanco, or whoever wasn't Javi Lopez.
Well, I can see you do. If you catch it with 2 hands, right, that would mean something.
It certainly saves a lot of time. Espinosa lifts one out to left, and Duda drifting back. That's the second out. So 2 away. Raul Valdez 1 out away from qualifying for a victory. He's thrown as many as 80 pitches in a major league game this year. 75 so far this afternoon. And May 20th game against the Nationals. That's the one John Maine left after 5 pitches.
5 pitches. I'll never forget it. He was just standing out there. Jerry came out and said, "That's it. You're gone."
And Valdez went 5 innings in relief that day. In fact, Valdez got his first 3 major league decisions all against the Nationals within a 10-day span. He had gotten a win against them 9 days earlier in relief. Then he got that win when he pitched the 5 innings in relief with Maine. And in between, he got a loss, all against Washington. Bernardino takes high, and it's 2-0.
So it's almost appropriate that he get his first start against the Nationals.
And perhaps his first win as a starter. But he's got to get 1 more out to qualify. He's gone as many as 7 innings this year down in Buffalo, so he's able to throw all the time. One thing we've learned about Raul is that nobody does more in preparation to pitch than he does.
I mean, that's one of the reasons that he could pitch on my team any day. Always out here early, always running. And the one thing I really liked is the difference in ages between he and Henry Mejia, always with Henry Mejia as kind of a buddy. Getting him to work out with him and all those things. I thought that was nice showing by Raul.
Really an old school type pitcher. You don't see pitchers run as much as Valdez does. And that's outside ball 4, and Bernardino's on with a walk. The 4th given up by Valdez today. Now, when you were pitching, you didn't have any choice. You had to run, right?
Yeah, there was no. A lot of the guys that used the bike and they used the what are they called? The elliptical machines and all that. No, in those days there was a mandatory kind of running, but it also was a thing where there was a lot of long distance running, Gary. And the reason we used to do the long distance running, and I don't know, I'm sure there's some trainers will say it's not good for you, is that for a starting pitcher, when you do long distance running, there's a beginning, there's an end, and there's a lot of pain in between. And that's very similar to making a start in big league baseball. It's the same kind of thing. Can you finish? Can you start it and finish it?
Well, the answer most of the time now is no.
Well, maybe that's why the long distance running is not at a premium.
We need the middle distance running.
I told you, when I first came up with the Texas Rangers, the veteran pitchers used to treat the rookies so bad that we used to have to do this lap around the park. And the only way to get back at them was to lap them, because there was 2 laps around the park, which is about 3.5 miles. And the only way to get back at the veteran pitchers would make you do everything from shagging to whatever, is that you'd run the first lap so fast that you'd lap them on the second. And that didn't endear yourself to them. And they did care, and they got pretty angry and treated even worse.
You got to go pretty fast to lap a guy.
Well, not
only 2 laps.
Not these guys. Doc Medich and the gang, they were running pretty slow.
Well, he was a doctor. He should have known best what was right for his body.
That's right. I'm trying to think of the veterans. John Matlack was one of the veterans on that team. Doc Medich. Charlie Huff. Rick Honeycutt. They weren't into running. They were into golfing.
3-1 to Desmond with 2 men on. And that's a strike at the knees. 3-2.
That's the kind of at bat that makes me wonder for a young player. Desmond's going to be a guy that can drive in runs someday. 3-1 fastball away. He looked like he had no intention of swinging at that pitch.
Yota Igarashi up in the Mets bullpen with Valdez up to 83 pitches now. Runners get set to take off. 3-2 to Desmond. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Raul Valdez with his 5th strikeout. He has thrown 5 scoreless innings in his first major league start. Hats off to you, Raul. Problem for Raul Valdez. 5 scoreless innings, 1 hit, 5 strikeouts.
Is he going to keep going? Why not?
I don't know. It's an interesting question. 83 pitches now. That's the most he's thrown in a big league game this year.
My feeling is I think he's going to go. The reason is even though he was in trouble in that inning and his pitch count was up, Igarashi wasn't ready to come in the game. So,
and there's nobody throwing out there now. So a little debriefing going on there. We may see Raul go out there for the 6th inning. Meanwhile, the Mets at the top of the batting order coming up in the bottom of the 5th.
So Angel usually likes to try to lay down a bunt. Gonzalez is in at third base.
On 1 for 2, single to left his last time up. Feliciano and right to follow here in the 5th. Maya has certainly looked a lot better today than when we saw him in Washington in his first start.
Well, he came into the game with more walks than strikeouts. He's throwing more strikes. He's mixing up his pitches. And he's showing a little better fastball than he did in Washington.
And the curveball hit out to center field. And Maxwell has it lined up. 1 away. So Pagan is retired. And here's Feliciano, who drove in the Mets' first run with a short sacrifice fly. Tejada coming home, and Maxwell had to dive for the ball.
That was a nice shot. I like those shots that are low, almost like the old-time baseball.
Maya looking a little annoyed after not getting a strike call on that last pitch. Now it's 3-0. It's almost like the manager is shooting from the corner of the dugout.
That's right.
There's a strike, 3-1. A manager's eye view. And a letter high strike. So Maya didn't get a call on a strike, and he gets a call on a ball.
You always feel like as a pitcher, that's a makeup call right there. tip your cap. Thank you very much. Maybe I can get out of this at bat.
Jeff Nelson, the home plate umpire, and Feliciano responds with a line drive into center for a base hit. So Feliciano has his first hit of the day. And the Mets 6th hit.
Well, it's a nice situation to be in if you're a hitter. 3-2 pitch, you know it's going to be a fastball, almost assured it's going to be out over the plate, and Maxwell caught that barehanded. I don't know what he is thinking about.
David Wright coming up. Steve McCanny, the pitching coach, heading out to the mound to talk to Maya before he faces Wright. They're getting a left-hander up in the Nationals bullpen. It's Doug Slayton who pitched in the game last night.
Well, McCanny's going to try to give him some time. Slayton some time, and also try to get Maya through this inning and through David Wright.
Well, there are the numbers for David Wright last year and this year, and clearly the power numbers are way up from last year. I mean, you have to look at last year for David as a complete aberration in terms of his production numbers.
And that's why I think you had to be assured that he was going to make a comeback this season, because the numbers here in 2010 have been the numbers that he has put up each and every year that he's been the third baseman for the Mets. So I believe that coming into this new Citi Field, you know, it kind of messed with him a little bit, and it produced a subpar season, but back on point offensively now.
The one thing you'd like to see from David next year that has been troubling this year is some greater level of consistency. His year has been either very hot or not for 6 months.
Yeah, and he's feasted on the weak left-handed pitchers, and we're going to have to see him be able to handle the elite pitchers in the league, the Hallidays. I think that David would have to agree. I think that, you know, with his errors this season, his defensive play has to improve, absolutely, and I think he will work on his defensive play. But I think the most important thing for David Wright moving forward, and I don't know if he even wants to do this, but I think it's for him to take over this team.
Throw to first by Ramos, and just back is Feliciano.
And what do I mean by that? I mean that he had tasted some success in 2006. You know, this is his team as Feliciano almost gets caught. He's got to become the face, and maybe he is the face now, but he's got to become the leader. And I mean a leader not only on the field, but also demanding the effort each and every night, not only from himself, but from his teammates. And it's going to be some tough love if he wants to take over that role. And it's not a popular role. And you're not going to be liked all the time. And the guy's going to talk behind your back. They're not going to appreciate you making them play the way they're supposed to play each and every night. But
that's behind Wright. And Feliciano takes off for second, and he makes it safely. That was a scary moment there as Maya threw it behind the back of David Wright.
Not even close. Trying to come in with a fastball. Looks like he was trying to throw that indoor slider that they throw right at the hip of the right-handed hitter, and it comes back over the inside corner, and it never broke. I don't know how that missed, David.
That's got to be so scary for a hitter because you don't know what direction to go. Your first reaction is to pull back, and then you realize back is putting you in the line of fire. David goes down swinging. The fourth strikeout for Maya, 2 out in the inning. Now, David said yesterday, he was quoted as saying that the strikeout numbers, it's 161 now, a new Met Club record, that as long as he's producing, the strikeout numbers don't bother him.
Well, I think that that is a way to look at it. The other way to look at it is if you can cut down on the strikeouts and put the ball in play, at some point, some of those have to turn into hits. And all of a sudden, instead of hitting 280, 290, you're hitting 320, which he's shown in the past. Which he's done in the past. I've always thought of David as one of your best two-strike hitters when I first saw him play. can't say that as much now.
1-1 to Davis, who singled and struck out 1 for 2.
But I don't know if he wants the job, but to come in with a serious scowl on his face, a chip on his shoulder, and some anger would do this team well.
Yeah, but not everybody's cut out to do that.
I agree. But there's no one else here who can do it. Simple as that. And I know what you're saying. There's certain personalities can do it, some can't. You can find different ways to do it. You don't have to be, like Keith was, of yelling on the field and keeping everyone in the game. There's different ways of doing it. If he doesn't want to show that kind of intensity, he's intense on the field, but that kind of outward intensity on the field, then show it in the clubhouse. It's all right to get angry at teammates. You fight it out. You figure it out. And then you have respect for each other because you didn't let it pass.
To the right side, and Espinosa in front of it. Throws out Davis to end the inning. A hit and 1 left. 5 in the books at Citi Field with the Mets up 2-0. David Wright, and the future for David, not only on the field but off the field as well with this franchise as he gets older and becomes more of a veteran presence in the Mets clubhouse. And we're talking about the fact that some guys relish the role of sometimes being the bad guy in the clubhouse, the guy who has to tell teammates things they might not want to hear. Hit in the air to left field by Morris, chasing Duda back to the track, looking up at the wall, and it's out of here off the facing of the second deck. Mike Morris with his second home run in this series, his 15th of the year, and he cuts the Met lead to 2-1.
This young man has silly power. Wind's blowing in a little bit from left field. Very rarely do you see a ball hit the left center, hit any of those signs, and Morris did. First pitch, kind of a cutter that stays in the middle of the plate, and he hits it off that white sign.
Well, the Nats have scored 2 runs in this series. They both come on Morris home runs. Now Ramos fouls one off.
He's getting himself in Riggleman's favor, though, to get some more starts in right field.
Ramos is 1 for 2. He's doubled and fly deep to left. Morris trying to get his team going. And it's 1-1 to Ramos. Now, when you look at a guy like Wright, who has, he's been in the big leagues now for 7 years. and has not been that guy as the ball's pulled over the third base bag, and Ramos has got himself another hit. Duda to the sidewall to plate, and Ramos pulls in with his second double of the day. So back-to-back extra base hits off Valdez, and the tying run at second base.
Well, Valdez might be getting a little tired as that breaking ball is a little flat. David off the line, not able to get to that ball, and a double for Ramos.
And so the Mets bullpen is cranking now with Alberto Gonzalez coming up. Have you ever seen a guy, as Sean Green gets up, have you seen a guy who early in his career was not really that kind of in-your-face kind of player who developed as one?
Yeah, I certainly did. Now, I was not there when he was a young player with the California Angels at the time. Was the bunt attempt there by Gonzalez? But Carney Lansford, who I played with in Oakland later, said he came up with the Rod Carews, Bobby Gritches. He won himself a batting title as a third baseman, plays the same position as David. And then when he was traded to Oakland, and Oakland had all those young players like McGuire and Canseco, Ricky Henderson, when he got over there, he was asked by Tony La Russa, he said, listen, we have a lot of free spirits. We have some young kids in here, don't know how to play the game right. I need you to be the bad guy. I need you, instead of me being the bad guy all the time, I need you to make sure that these guys, when they don't play the game right, you call them out each and every time. And each and every time you do it, I will be behind you 100%. And Carney said he was a little uncomfortable doing it at first. He didn't want to do it. He just wanted to get his at-bats, get his hits, because he's a quiet person by nature. But he took up that role, and it's one of the reasons they had all that success from 88 to 90.
So I guess what you're saying is, in order for a player to be able to do that, he's got to have the backing from the manager, and the manager has to have the backing from the general manager.
Agreed. You have to have that. Everyone's got to be on the same page. I'll give you some examples of what Carney used to do. I mean, he used to do some things that Canseco would not play a ball correctly in right field. And as soon as he got in the dugout, he would say things to Canseco that most men don't say to another man in front of the whole team. Embarrass him in front of the team. Now, the great thing about Jose, he didn't care. So he would just walk in the clubhouse. But it was done in front of everyone. So if you're a young person on that bench, and Canseco, who's your 40 and 40 man.
Arias comes in to play the grounder, and that's the first out as Ramos moves to third with the tying run.
Can be yelled at in front of the whole team, then everyone is going to have respect, not only for that player, but have respect for what you're trying to do as a team. Carney Lansford got to such a point, and I'll end it there. I won't go on about Carney. He got to such a point and was such a leader that after a loss, as Jerry comes up to take the ball from Valdez, after a loss, you did not go to the food line and get something to eat until Carney Lansford did.
Fine outing for Valdez in his first big league start. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. The signal is yours. Wield it to transmit anything you want. 5 1/3, just 1 run allowed. Leaves with the tying run on third base. He'll leave it in the hands of Sean Green.
That's a heroic effort by Valdez. A heroic week for him. Sean Green coming in. Green has been much better in his last few appearances. Still occasionally suffers with his control.
Infield in, Justin Maxwell takes inside for ball 1. In his last outing, Green had a very good first inning. Second inning sabotaged by his defense and by some wildness. He had troubles.
Interesting choice here. Sean Green should be a ground ball pitcher, but he's done a much better job of striking out right-handed hitters, and this is what you need in this situation.
Runner coming home on contact. Arias with the throw, and out at the plate is Ramos. Tolle comes up hobbling, but Arias guns down Ramos, carrying the tying run, and that's the second out.
Well, nice play. Ball hit right on the nose. Arias with the good short hot scoop. Perfect throw, and it looks like the foot of Tolle was spiked by the runner coming in. Ramos got his spike into the foot, but excellent play by Arias to get that play at home.
Gary Manuel comes out, takes the ball from Sean Green, and he'll bring in the left-hander to face Adam Kennedy. That'll give Tolle time to feel a little better after taking a spike. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. The signal is yours. Wield it to transmit anything you want. For the 92nd time, it's Pedro Feliciano for New York.
Well, key against Kennedy is the breaking ball usually. Good fastball hitter.
Pedro this week became only the 5th pitcher in Major League history to pitch in 90 or more. Here's the play at the plate and the spiking of Josh Tolle.
And that's the danger for the catcher trying to block the plate, is you always want to put your left leg out there.
Maxwell took off, and Kennedy fouls it off.
And why do you want to do that? It's because you want to get the runner to go around you. So you put that left foot out there, but Ramos chose the quickest place between 2 points is a straight line. And that foot just right into the foot and spiking Tolle.
Maxwell was running on the last pitch. And Kennedy takes it wide, 2-1. Let's see. Final weekend of the season, Josh Tolle has taken a foul ball off the thumb on his throwing hand. Now he gets spiked on his left foot. Sunday at 4 o'clock can't come fast enough. And Kennedy gets drilled for the second time today. What did he ever do?
I don't know. He doesn't play enough to get hit twice.
So he was hit by Valdez in the last inning. Now he gets hit by Feliciano. And the Nats have 2 men on.
No, it's another slider that just doesn't break.
So 2 out and 2 on. And now Kevin Mensch will come up to pinch hit. Dan Worthen out at the mound talking to Feliciano. Mensch pinch hit last night in the 8th inning and flied out against Pat Mish. So the veteran Mensch, who has struggled at the plate this year, will get the chance here with 2 out and 2 on, with the Mets up 2-1 in the 6th. Right-hand hitters have given Feliciano far more trouble than the lefties, although he has had bouts of effectiveness against right-hand hitters. There's a fastball for a strike. The Nats are already 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position this afternoon. Danny Espinosa, the leadoff hitter, on deck. And Mensch takes it inside, 1-1. Feliciano was so effective early in the year against right-handers that the Mets expanded his role, and he became more of a full inning pitcher than a situational pitcher, and that probably hurt him in the long run this year.
You know, I think what happened to him is that he had to expand his repertoire. He's throwing a lot more changeups, Gary, to the right-handed hitters, turning that ball over, and what happened is he lost his slider. He lost his ability to throw that sharp slider to the left-handers, which was his strength.
Now the 1-2 to Mensch, and he misses away. 2-2. Two on, 2 out, 2-2 to Mensch. And it's popped up into shallow center for Pagan. And the side retired. So Green and Feliciano get a big out behind Valdez, and the Mets hang on to the lead 2-1. By Verizon Fios, call 1-888-GET-FIOS. Changes for the Nats. Willie Harris comes in the game to play right field, replacing Mike Morse, who supplied all the offense that the Nats have had in this series. Doug Slayton on the pitch. There was no need for a double switch.
You have to think Morse is hurt or something.
He hurt himself running out the home run. I mean, I guess we've seen that this year. We saw Kendry Morales, but that was more in the celebratory sense. So we'll try and figure out that move by Jim Riggleman. As Lucas Duda, who hit a monster home run his last time up, leads off against Slayton. Pops the first pitch he sees. And the shortstop Desmond calling. One pitch and one out. So Duda's retired. And that'll bring up Joaquin Arias. Maybe Riggleman just brought Harris into the game because he knows that he can inspire the Nats with some great catch or big hit against the Mets. It's been Willie's career, hasn't it?
I was talking to someone that's associated with the Atlanta Braves. Media does their television. And he was saying to me, he goes, you know what, the Nationals always play us tough. Willie Harris always seems to make a great catch against us. I said, you too?
Popped up, shallow right. That didn't go far enough for Harris to make the play. Espinosa grabs it for the second out. I figured when that ball went up, Willie was going to make a somersaulting catch.
Right.
He made a catch. Or was it earlier this year? Yeah, earlier this year, Rocco Rojas.
That's right.
Just that liner to left.
To end the game.
Yeah. Looked like it was going to tie up the game. Had that catch he made against Carlos Delgado when he played for the Braves, going over the fence. Josh Tolley 1 for 2. He doubled under the glove of Adam Kennedy down the right field line in the 4th. Mets 2 runs, 6 hits. The Nats 1 run and 3 hits. We're in the 6th. And the breaking ball from Slayton inside, 1-1. Yuneski Maya went 5 innings, allowed 2 runs, 6 hits, a walk and 4 strikeouts, a wild pitch. He's on the short end of a 2-1 score, but certainly a much more impressive outing than what we saw first time around against Maya. Elmer descends up in the Mets bullpen. Tolley held the swing, 2-1. Slayton, the former Arizona Diamondback. And Tolley pops one up in foul ground. That'll make it into the seats. 2-2. Shadows starting to encroach from the third base side. They have not yet reached home plate, so no ills for the batter, but you've got that shadow of the light stanchion out in left field.
Right.
The shadows of October. (3-2) from Slayton, and Tolley bounces one foul.
You mentioned earlier in the broadcast with that walk-off home run last night from Tolley, the Mets, Elias people told us, first time had 3 walk-off home runs from their catchers.
First time in Major League history. First time any team has ever had walk-off homers from 3 different catchers in the same season. Gonzalez over near the railing, but doesn't have long enough arms. And, you know, you've said this before. Anytime you do something for the first time in Major League history, that encompasses a lot of territory.
It's magic. It's magic.
I mean, you're going back to 1876.
Barajas and Blanco did it back-to-back here at Citi Field earlier in the season.
Maybe it's Mike Nickius' turn.
Tomorrow.
3-2 to Tolley. Maybe today. Tolley down swinging to end the inning. 1-2-3 go the Mets before Doug Slate. 6 in the books. 2-1 New York.
Lions score, a Lucas Duda home run, a Jesus Feliciano sac fly has the Mets in front of the Nationals 2-1, and a nice little start by Valdez as well. See if the Mets can hang on. This could be a game. We see Hisanori Takahashi later on, and he's been absolutely brilliant in the closer's role. He's 8 for 8 in that role, and when you look at it, really, he's been just about brilliant in every role the Mets have put him in this year, now with 10 wins on the year as well. And I talked to him today, and I wanted to know, this is a guy that said before that, if he had a choice, he would be a starter in this league. And I said, are you enjoying this as much, and has his success as a closer made you rethink that? This will be a chance in the sun for Feliciano, and we'll haul it in, 1 away. And he said, well, I think if the Mets, said, hey, we want to have you back next year as a closer, I would love to hear that. Now, he didn't say whether or not he'd still prefer to be a starter. He wouldn't go there. But he said the one thing about closing is it's a feeling of importance that I like. So I like it when I come out and the players and the fans are hoping and thinking that the game is over, and I really, really like that feeling. So, the question is, guys, I guess, does that feeling and that success he's had in that spot maybe convince him that if there's both opportunities on the table, maybe he stays as a closer?
Well, there's another side to that, too. What the Mets have seen this year is that while Takahashi has had some success as a starting pitcher, they've also seen that in many of his starts, that second time around the lineup has been troubling to him. Well, the Mets have seen that. Well, so have all the other teams who scout the Mets and who might think about bringing Takahashi in as a free agent. And you'd have to think that they've seen the same things that we've seen.
Well, I know that for someone who used to be a starting pitcher and was put in the bullpen for a short time, as Bernardino with the base hit, you want to go back there. But when I watch Takahashi, his most consistent moments have always come as a reliever this season. Yes, he's had brilliance as a starter. I think about the 12 shutout innings against the Yankees. But coming out of the bullpen, it's hard for me to even think of 3 or 4 bad times he's had out of the bullpen. Almost every single time he comes in, it's a great effort. And if it's not a great effort, sometimes it's some kind of play defensively that hurts him. 8 for 8 this year. You can't ask for anything more. 10 wins.
Yeah, throw in the effort last night. 4 strikeouts in 2 innings and a victory in relief. He's got 10 wins and 8 saves this year. The last Met to do that is Roger McDowell.
Guys, I take you back to the K-Rod situation in the conference call the next day with ownership, and Jeff Wilpon on that call said, hey, who knows the rest of the season, maybe we find another guy who can close. And I think all the eyes kind of pointed to Bobby Parnell, but maybe they found the guy. It'd be interesting to see the offseason pursuit.
There is a school of thought that too much emphasis is put on closers, and the Mets have in recent years spent a lot of money chasing closers, whether it was Billy Wagner or Francisco Rodriguez. And you look at what some other clubs have done in terms of handing the ball to a guy and seeing whether he works out, and not necessarily spending a ton of money on a guy just because he's had success as a closer.
Well, also,
that's how it works out.
I also think you fall in love with the numbers. Bobby Parnell is a sexier choice because he throws 101 miles an hour.
Desmond with a number. And Feliciano makes the play for the second out as Bernardino moves up to second.
You could also argue with this team, the 8th inning has been more hurtful than the 9th inning.
Well, also, certainly if you look at the Mets over the last 2 decades, they had a lot of success with a closer who threw a lot like Takahashi.
That's right.
John Franco was here for a long time, throwing that same, 89 mile an hour fastball and the terrific changeup.
The changeup that's always swung at, that one in the dirt. I think what you have in Takahashi, and one of the things I'd really admire about what he does, is he's fearless, and he's not afraid to throw strikes. You see a lot of closers some days, they are trying to pitch to be perfect, and they don't want anything bad to happen. And with Takahashi, he just tries to execute his pitches. Look at the shadows now. And he's fearless, and it doesn't matter who comes up, he will challenge them. And that's why he's had so much success this season.
Willie Harris up for the first time. Took over from Mike Morse in right field. Still haven't heard why.
You know, guys, last night we showed Takahashi his fun side, too. He had those histrionics with Jose Reyes. I asked him about it. He said, you know, in the spring I put up my hand for a high five, and then it just kept going. So I just followed with it.
That was one of the great scenes last night because, you know, Jose 2 nights ago, you know, dropped a pop-up, of course, and that's always a big deal. But the next night caught one in the wind. And, of course, Takahashi making fun of Jose, saying, hey, you're kind of looking a little shaky on that one, too. Jose enjoyed it.
Did we see on camera the handshake that they do? I didn't see the shot. Do we have that, guys?
I don't know if they did a handshake, but I think they did a kind of hit their gloves together. Watch Takahashi saying, whoa, a little shaky again, brother.
Nice. After that, they have a handshake that it starts as a high five, and then you could picture Jose with the dance moves. It goes down to a bump with a knee, and then a little elbows flying. Taka said it took a little time to learn.
It's hard to keep up with Jose.
That's right.
There's a lot of movement there. 2-2 to Willie Harris. And that's just off the plate, 3-2. Well, as they look forward to next year, and with all the dollars that they have tied up, and with the uncertainty about K-Rod, they could do a whole lot worse than having Isanori Takahashi as their closer. But, of course, he's a free agent. And you're going to have to deal with that as you have to deal with Feliciano as a free agent. Inside, ball 4, and Harris is on with a walk. I mean, those are 2 enormous pieces in this bullpen. That's going to be all for Feliciano. As Jerry Manuel comes out, he's going to make a double switch with the right-hand batting Wilson Ramos coming up. Elmer DeSenz will be coming in. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Verizon. The signal is yours. Wield it to transmit anything you want. Or see your local Dodge dealers today. There's a Luis Castillo sighting. He's in the game at second base and batting 9th. Part of a double switch as Elmer DeSenz comes in. DeSenz will bat 6th.
Well, you see his numbers this season. He's going to be facing Ramos, who's a first pitch fastball hitter, maybe mix in that slider.
Everyday Elmer has had a few days off. Hasn't pitched since game 1 of Wednesday's doubleheader. 2 out and 2 on. DeSenz protecting a 2-1 lead as Ramos takes low and away. Ramos 2 for 3, a pair of doubles. One of them off the base of the fence in left field. The other one pulled right over the third base bag. Bernardina, a very fast man, carrying the tying run at second, and Harris on at first. Feliciano worked an inning in relief, allowed a hit, a walk, and a hit batsman. Alberto Gonzalez on deck. With Ramos batting here with a runner in scoring position, every Nats starter has now been up with a runner in scoring position today, and they're a combined 0 for 10. Whoa. But Ramos has had the best swings of anybody on the Nats today. Sen's trouble throwing that last pitch and flexing his arm afterward. Stranded 20 of 30 inherited runners this year. A good sinker. 2-2. Elmer will be 40 years old next year. Been an integral part of this Mets bullpen, particularly the second half. The way baseball is played now, you need guys who are capable of taking the ball every single day.
They have that in Valdez, who started today. Elmer Descends can throw every day. Takahashi has pretty much of a rubber arm also.
And
Feliciano.
Feliciano and his 92 appearances. It's not every day, but it's just about every day. 2 out, 2 on, 2-2 to Ramos. And he fouls it away. Ramos had some good looking at bats today.
Yeah, he has a good stroke. Short, very powerful. And very rarely swings and misses, as you see in today's game.
Now the 2-2, low and away, and a full count to Ramos. Ramos just 23 years old. Of course, the Nats had a young catcher who they thought was going to be their catcher for a long time, the former Met farmhand Jesus Flores, but basically hasn't played for 2 years because of shoulder problems. Who knows what his future is going to be. So now the runners get set to go. By the way, Luis Castillo coming into this game at second base. First time he's played in the field since September 4th.
Wow.
Almost a month ago. Did score a winning run as a pinch runner the other day. 3-2, and Ramos pulls one foul.
Might have to skirt David Wright a little close to the line now.
Ramos has already hit a double in that direction. Almost had another. Sen set to throw his 9th pitch to Wilson Ramos. And the curveball pulled foul. He's been on everything.
Slider, fastball, doesn't matter. He had a nice first game with Minnesota, didn't he? When Maurer went down, injured, Ramos emergency call up. Only went 4 for 4.
Not a bad way to start. Again, the 3-2. And he lofts this one down the right side. That'll go foul. Ike Davis had no idea where that ball was.
Yeah, he lost it.
Completely lost it. All you can do is shake your head. He had the glasses down. He just didn't know where the ball was.
His first look, though, was right into the sun. Then he put the glasses down and had no idea.
Fortunately for him, it didn't hit him in the head.
How about Ike with the flip down sunglasses? You don't see that much anymore.
It's the only way to go. David Wright's got those as well. 11th pitch coming to Wilson Ramos. And he yanks one off the third base bag. Around third, Bernardina. He'll race in with the tying run. To third goes Harris. A cushion shot for Wilson Ramos, his third hit of the game. And it ties the game at 2.
Well, the Mets got fortunate there, because if that doesn't hit the bag, that might score. The runner at first, Willie Harris. Nice hustle by David to get out and get that baseball. And he really, with that hustle, held Ramos to first base. But if that doesn't hit the bag, Harris got great speed. He probably scores the go-ahead run.
And now Adam Dunn is going to bat for Alberto Gonzalez. Dan Warthen's going to take a hurried trip to the mound to talk to Descends. That run is charged to Feliciano, and he's also responsible for the runner at third. So Dunn, who started last night and went 0 for 4, will take his 38 homers and 103 RBIs to the plate as a pinch hitter. Igarashi getting ready in the bullpen.
I know this is a meaningless game, but that's about one of the best at-bats I've seen by any hitter this year. And Gary, your Nationals, not your Nationals, but the Nationals, finally get a hit with a runner in scoring position.
They had been 0 for 10 before that, but you know, we said it earlier. Ramos has had the best at-bats for the Nats all day. 3 hits now, that RBI single and a pair of doubles. So not done. You see his career pinch hitting numbers, 3 career pinch hit home runs. That's put on the shift against him. But Wright can't get too far off the line with the speed of Bernardina at third. And ball 1 is up and away. You've got Justin Maxwell standing on deck. Tyler Clippard up in the Nationals bullpen. So you wouldn't be all that shocked if Descends pitched around Dunn here.
I think that's a good choice. This is not a good matchup for the Mets or for Elmer.
And he's trying to get Dunn to chase, and he's not the kind of hitter who chases. See, with certain guys, you just can't pitch around them. I mean, Dunn is a guy who just doesn't go out of the strike zone. Tolley's going to continue to sit off the plate, and that misses badly for ball 3. And let's see if they just give him intentional ball 4 now. And nope. Tolley goes into his squat.
Well, then Adam Dunn better make sure that he's ready to swing 3-0. This might be the only strike he sees.
Not even close. So the unintentional intentional walk to Dunn fills up the bases. And now Justin Maxwell will come up. Jerry Manuel on his way to the mound. He's got Igarashi in the bullpen. Descends has faced 2 batters, giving up a hit and a walk. And we'll get another pitching change. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. The signal is yours. Wield it to transmit anything you want. of the afternoon.
Well, Igarashi has been unscored upon in his last 3 outings as he has been throwing not only his sinker, cutter, and also his good curveball.
Harris is at third, Ramos at second, and Dunn at first with 2 out. All right, I got good news and bad news for you. Which one do you want?
I love bad news first.
Albany 23, Yale 20. Final.
Final.
Ready for the good news?
Can't even beat a state cap.
Columbia 42, Princeton 14.
Wow.
Final.
Beat the Tigers.
Now I need somebody to sing.
There you go.
Well, here's Maxwell with the bases loaded. 3 career grand slams in 4 career bases loaded at bats. Almost incomprehensible. And he takes a strike, 0-1. He hit one off K-Rod last year?
He did, towards the end of the season.
Adam Kennedy on deck.
There was a walk-off grand slam, if I remember right.
Maxwell just hit a grand slam a couple of weeks ago against the Braves. Swings at a high fastball, and Igarashi's ahead 0-2. Well, the Mets know all about grand slams. They've given up 12 of them this year. Hit none. I guess that means they know something about grand slams.
They're due to get an out. That's what.
Well, it's a good time of day for Igarashi to be pitching in this situation, with the shadows now having covered home plate and the pitcher pitching out of the sunshine. Oh, 0-2 to Justin Maxwell. Taken high, a ball and 2 strikes.
Well, Igarashi, body language is that his arm does not feel right. Taking a long time in between pitches. Shaking that arm out. When he threw that first pitch, you can see him just continue to try to manipulate that arm. He does not feel right.
I saw the Sens doing something very similar. Here's the 1-2, and he bounces on a great stop by Tolley. That saves a run.
What a play by Josh. Doesn't get any harder than this. This ball threw about 40 feet. It's before the box. Classic by Tolley getting in front of that baseball.
Now it's 2-2 to Maxwell with the bases full. And it's low, ball 3. So after Igarashi got ahead 2 strikes, now he's gone full to Maxwell. Tie game, bases loaded, 3-2, 2 out. He definitely looks as though something's not right. So now the merry-go-round will be in motion. Harris, Ramos, Gonzalez are done. The 3 base runners will all be going with 3-2 and 2 out. And Maxwell checks his swing. He went around, strike 3. So Igarashi winds up striking out Maxwell to leave the bases full. The Nats tie it, 7th inning stretch. We're even at 2.
Back here at Citi Field, scored 2-2, and in between innings, Igarashi, who looked like he was complaining about his arm on the mound here with Dan Worthen, discussing through the translator, can he go forward? But he seems to say with a shake of the head, maybe he can.
Changes for the Nats. Adam Dunn stays in the game to play first base. Adam Kennedy moves from first base to third base. And Tyler Clippard will come on to pitch.
Well, Clippard, the good news, he's got 11 wins. The bad news, he's got 7 losses. And one of those losses was in last night's ball game, of course, with the Josh Tolley walk-off home run.
Ruben Tejada leads off for New York in the home 7. Mets had a 2-0 lead. The Nats have rallied to tie. Tejada's been aboard twice, a walk and a single. He scored a run. We've gotten a medical report on Mike Morse. He left the game with a tight left hamstring. Left the game, of course, after hitting a home run. You can't hurt your hamstring in a home run trot, can you? Maybe you can. It'll be Tejada, then Luis Castillo and Angel Pagan for the Mets. Castillo hitting on the 9th spot after coming in a double switch.
With Tejada and Castillo back to back, you're going to see the outfield play as shallow as you'll see any major league outfield play.
Swing and a miss, and Tejada is down on strikes. So Clippard fans the first man to face him.
Well, this was just Clippard with that good fastball blowing Tejada away. A little tardy.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Castillo gets the rare turn it back. He's been lightly used over the last month of the season. And so he gets an at bat here against a guy who throws 93 in the shadow, pitching from the sunshine.
Stay hot.
Good luck. It's a good time to try and bunt for a hit. I mean, there's just no way.
Wow.
It just gets more and more difficult right now until those shadows pass the mound.
Even then, you're in between. Because of the light stands, you'll get a little sunshine again and then more shadows.
1-2 to Castillo. I mean, if you're pitching in this situation and you're Clippard, are you throwing anything but fastballs?
No, and you throw them high in the strike zone, too, to not see it.
Castillo makes contact as he fouls it off.
And if you're going to throw a breaking ball, Gary, just bounce it.
One-two to Castillo, and he swings and misses, and Clippard has back-to-back strikeouts to start the bottom of the 7th. So 2 out and nobody on. And Angel Pagan will come to bat with the bases empty. Angels 1 for 3 today, single to left back in the 3rd. Yuneski Maya started for the Nationals, went 5 innings, allowed 2 runs and 6 hits. Doug Slayton pitched the 1-2-3 6th, and Clippard has gotten the first 2 here in the 7th. And Pagan takes high, ball 1. Jesus Feliciano on deck. One of the 7 rookies in the starting lineup for the Mets today. Pagan trying to bunt his way on.
I think if you're going to bunt here, Kennedy, who's played first base now at 3rd, it's better to bring that bunt with you. Adam Dunn is all the way back, almost on the outfield grass. Anything his way is not going to be playable.
Pagan pulls one into right field for a base hit. So Angel, defying the shadows, got something off speed and yanked it into right. Clippard probably learned a lesson there. Stay with your fastball.
Well, that's a changeup. Up and out over the plate. A little easier pitch for Pagan to handle.
So Pagan aboard. Let's see if he tries to swipe one here. Pagan with 37 steals on the year. Feliciano at the plate, 1 for 2 and a sacrifice fly. And he takes the fastball high. The Mets 2 runs, 7 hits. The Nationals 2 runs, 5 hits. Clippard, the 3rd Washington pitcher of the day. And Clippard fires over. Angel number 2 in the National League in stolen bases, behind Michael Bourne, who's been shut down for the year.
Ramos has only thrown out 1 out of 12 this season.
And the pitch out, not going, and Pagan dives back in ahead of Ramos's throw. Well, especially after the pitch out now, this is one of those situations that cries out for a stolen base.
Well, a couple things can happen here after the pitch out. Nice throw by Ramos down to first base. You want to steal this bag, but also it gives the Feliciano a chance to take the pitch. Give Angel a chance.
Not going, and it's too high, ball 3. Well, now you don't have to worry about the stolen base. Might get him to second base with a walk, with David Wright waiting on deck. So Clippard, after striking out the first 2 hitters, threw the high changeup to Pagan, gave up the base hit, and now is missed with 3 in a row to Feliciano. Sean Burnett, the lefty, up in the Nats bullpen with an eye toward Ike Davis, 2 batters away. And Feliciano takes ball 4. So Clippard walked him on 4 pitches. And that gets David Wright to the plate with 2 men on. Steve McCaddy, the Nationals pitching coach, on his way to the mound. And look who's up in the Mets bullpen. Having already thrown his final start of the season, R.A. Dickey may be ready for more. R.A. started in the doubleheader on Wednesday. He's a knuckleballer. He can go back out there. Heck, if Valdez could pitch in both ends of the doubleheader and start today, why can't Dickey start on Wednesday and relieve on Saturday? R.A. threw only 80 pitches in his 7 innings in game 2 of that doubleheader. Visit the official online shop of the Mets at Mets.com. Browse the largest online selection of authentic team gear, including official caps, t-shirts, jerseys, collectibles, and more. Get your team gear straight from the source. Shop the Mets.com shop.
That was a stern little talking to from pitching coach Steve McCaddy to Tyler Clippard. Seen that in a while. That's an angry man right there.
So now Wright with 2 out and 2 on. David's 3 for 10 with a home run against Tyler Clippard. Tie game, 7th inning. And David fouls back the first pitch slider, 0-1.
And I'd be angry if I was a pitching coach too. You cannot walk a hitter. Now you're going to walk hitters. It happens. But you can't walk a Feliciano on 4 pitches with Wright coming up. Just can't do it. Not at this level.
Wright is 0 for 3 today. Struck out his last time up. And Clippard's ahead of him 0-2. Ike Davis would be next. They've got the left-hander ready in the bullpen to face him. But Clippard trying to put the inning to bed right here against Wright. So now David has to fight from behind in the count. 1-2. Look at that. He has really struggled in RBI situations the last 2 months. And yet has still got 200 runs batted in. Mostly lately via the home run. 5 in his last 9 games. 1-2. Up and in. 2-2. Well, pitchers have been doing this to David all year, moving him off the plate with fastballs and then trying to get him out low and away. We'll see if Clippard tries to do the same.
Put that helmet on a little tighter. Stick your nose in there, and when the pitcher does that with a purpose pitch, every good hitter I know, his next thought is to hit a ball right through the box.
He hits it in the air to deep left field. Back goes Bernardino, but it's out of here. A 3-run homer for David Wright. And the Mets take a 5-2 lead. Well, that's the other thing you can do after a pitcher comes up and in. You can hit it 400 feet.
That's called the answer, Gary.
Number 29 for David Wright. 103 runs batted in. And that is as impressive a thing as David Wright has done all year.
It's knocked back and just launches this ball off the second deck in left field. That's 2 days in a row now. Clippard giving up the big hit after the 4-pitch walk to Feliciano.
Well, he was ahead on right 0-2. Through that high inside fastball. And for the most part this year, after those high inside fastballs, David Wright has not had good at bats. This time, a big one. And you know, we talked about what David needs to do to get ready for next year. That might be the most important thing that he takes into this offseason.
That is a perfect swing there by David. Connection, short swing. And see how he watches that. You know what? He's allowed to watch that after being brushed up and in. He got a little ticked off. Ticked off is good, Gary.
Well, yeah. There needs to be more of that on this team. So it's 5-2 Mets. Ike Davis takes a strike, and it's 2-2. Ike is 1 for 3 on the day. So Clippard gave up the walk-off shot to Josh Tolley last night. Now gives up the go-ahead home run for the second straight day. And Igarashi, who struggled but got a strikeout with the bases loaded, now is pitcher of record on the long side. Davis strikes out to end the inning. Third strikeout in the inning for Clippard, but in between, with 2 men on, David Wright punched one. Number 29 for Wright. That's 5-2 New York. Rockies and Cardinals are in the 10th inning with no score. The Reds having clinched the Central, leading the Brewers. The big game's coming up in just a little while. The Braves with a 1-game lead in the wild card throw Tommy Hanson against the Phillies today. And the Padres, 2 games behind the Giants and a game behind Atlanta, take on the Giants. Well, Tyler Clippard feeling a little sorry for himself after giving up a go-ahead home run for the 2nd straight day.
Well, Steve McCatty, the pitching coach, who went out there and gave him an earful, still giving him an earful now.
And look who has come out of the bullpen for the first time this season. It's R.A. Dickey pitching in relief 3 days after going 7 innings against the Brewers on Wednesday.
R.A. Dickey continues to be the best story about the Mets this year. Fastball down. Now he's got to complete this fairy tale ride with 2 shutout innings.
Get the save, right? Mets already have a starting pitcher who's not just saved this year. Mike Pelfrey did it back in April in the 20-inning game. 2 straight fastballs from Dickey, 2-1 to Kennedy. Nyjer Morgan has come out on deck to pinch hit for the Nationals, and then Danny Espinosa. Last year, Dickey pitched for Minnesota and made 35 appearances, only 1 start, so he's pitched plenty in relief in his career. But he's behind on his first hitter here, 3-1.
Well, the problem that R.A. Dickey's going to have to fight here, his arm is in perfect shape. He's going to have to fight the emotions of being too pumped up.
And Kennedy takes ball 4. So Dickey walks the first man to face him. And for a guy who's been the epitome of the controlled knuckleball pitcher, he issues a leadoff walk.
We see this often. I guess I can understand the petulance a little bit, but that's how it goes. And that's not much analysis here by the person sitting here, but, you know, I mean,
it's not about the home run to David Wright. You got to not walk Jesus Feliciano on 4 pitches in front of David Wright. Nyjer Morgan pinch hitting, skies one out to right center, and Angel Pagan is there to grab it for the first out. So 1 out and 1 on.
Clippard, I'll always remember, correct me if I'm wrong, was it 2006 or 2007 that the Yankees just did not have any starting pitching? It was a doubleheader at Shea Stadium, and they called him up from Columbus, and he gave them, I think, 6 great innings.
Yep. Danny Espinosa 0 for 3 and a walk, and he takes the knuckler inside. Now, you wouldn't think that any team with expanded rosters would run out of relief pitchers, but that's what the Mets did today.
Well, the problem with the Mets, though, is they have some pitchers who can't pitch and some that they don't want to use.
Well, they started a reliever today, taking Valdez out of the bullpen, used Green and Feliciano early, then Descends and Igarashi. And with Parnell not supposed to be pitching because of the, what's it, the Fleika, whatever that is in his elbow. And they're saving Takahashi, I guess, for a save situation.
And Oliver's Philip Nolan, the man without a country.
Doesn't even exist. Although Castillo's in the game today. So, yeah, so here's R.A. Dickey filling a void. It's great to see.
He's in there for his bat, too.
Can't hurt. He's due up second in the bottom of the inning. 1-2 to Espinosa, and he gulps foul the knuckleball. Curb Your Enthusiasm is on Pix 11. Larry David, the comic genius behind Seinfeld, brings his smash HBO hit to your TV. Curb Your Enthusiasm, weeknights at 11:30 on Pix 11. Now Dickey's 1-2, and Espinosa pops one up into left center. Circling in is Duda, and he grabs it for the second out. So after walking the leadoff hitter, RA's retired the next 2. He's trimmed that beard back a little bit. A little less of the mountain man look.
Going home soon.
Yeah, that's true. Here's Bernardina, who singled and scored a run in the 7th inning to tie the game. He's also walked 1 for 3.
Usually when the guys come in late in the ball game, if you're going to face a hard thrower, what a weapon. Bringing a knuckleball.
It's the last thing anybody wants to see. Swing and a miss, and it's 0-2 to Bernardina. Yeah, Dickey looking to close out his storybook season. Thought the last chapter had been written, but as they used to say on episodes of the FBI, epilogue.
That's right.
Totally boxes it around. 1-2. A Quinn Martin production.
So there you go.
And Bernardina now swinging to end the inning. Ari Dickey out of the bullpen, into the shadows, and he gets the Nats out in the top of the 8th. What more can this guy do?
A recap brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com today. 5th inning, David Wright has a pitch thrown behind him and then strikes out. 7th inning, up and in, but a different result on the next pitch. A 430-foot bomb.
That was a beautiful thing to watch. As good as I've seen all season long.
Nice to see him admire and flip the bat, too. It was perfectly appropriate to the situation.
Big time.
Big Ballister pitches the bottom of the 8th.
Well, Ballister, last season, so much trouble for the Nationals in their bullpen. Coming into this game, they had the 4th best ERA in major leagues, and Ballister has been a part of that. 15 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings.
Ballister, the surfer from Huntington Beach.
Stad makes surfboards.
Takahashi getting ready for the save opportunity in the 9th. Lucas Duda has hit a long home run today, but a check swing here, and he'll dump one into left field for a base hit. Whatever works. Duda has his 2nd hit of the day.
Half swing and probably Lucas. And that initial stages when he went 1 for 34, deserving of one of those hits. Adam Dunn getting on him at first base.
Now Chris Carter will come up to pinch hit for R.A. Dickey. He'll get a hold, right?
Yes, hold.
First hold of the year. Is that an official statistic? Or is that just some made-up thing that relief pitchers use to try and quantify their work?
I discard it. Don't even look at it.
I mean, I see them in box scores sometimes, but...
Or no, and you also see it in the notes. They'll say 32 holds or 23 holds. I don't even know what that means.
It means it wasn't a save opportunity.
And you get out alive.
But you came in with the lead, you left and the lead was still intact, right?
What if you give up 10 runs? And you're leading by 12.
The problem is it's hard to judge middle relievers on conventional numbers.
Well, why judge them? They need a number. I guess they need a number to quantify so when they go into contract negotiations, I can say, hey, listen, I had 23 holds last year. That was 7th best in the National League. It was 2nd best on our team. So what?
Well, the numbers you'd like to look at for middle relievers are first batters faced, inherited runners that score, hits and walks per innings pitched.
3-1 to Carter, and he hits one in the air deep down the right field line, headed toward the corner. That ball is out of here into the Pepsi porch. A 2-run homer for Chris Carter. A pinch hit home run, his 4th of the year, his 19th pinch hit of the year, and the Mets open up a 7-2 lead.
When we talk about R.A. Dickey, the animal's been a nice story also. Done a nice job coming off the bench. Jumped on a high fastball from Ballister. And as the shadows have come in, the Mets have woke up with their bats.
Shadows in, balls flying out. David Wright 3-run homer, and now Carter a 2-run shot. And just like that, the Mets have a 5-run lead. Josh Tolley's 1 for 3 today, a double back in the 4th, so no save chance for Takahashi. And so it looks like Manny Acosta's getting up in the Mets bullpen.
Well, you know, whenever you talk about pulling the baseball, it's because you get the bat head out and meet the ball in front of the plate. That's a good 2-3 feet in front of the plate that Carter hit that baseball.
It's Carter's first career pinch hit home run and the Mets' 3rd pinch hit home run this season. Fernando Tatis, Mike Hessman, and now Chris Carter. And now he can relax for the rest of the day.
What a job. You got your sunglasses on all day. You're watching 2.5 hours of Owego. You take your sunglasses off, put the helmet on, the bat, hit a home run, and put the shades back on.
Here's the difference, though. Before the at-bat, he was not nearly this relaxed.
Okay.
He spent the last 6 hours preparing for that at-bat in his inimitable, animalistic way.
He's a classic, I'll tell you. Beautiful.
Tolley's on with a walk.
In baseball parlance, they'll always say this, where he's a real beauty. Chris Carter's a real beauty.
He is that. Well, Ballister's come on. He has not retired any of his 3 batters, and so he'll get a visit from Steve McCatty. Maybe not quite as angry a visit as McCatty paid to Clifford, but McCatty hasn't had himself an easy day managing this pitching staff. Craig Stammen is up in the Washington bullpen. Line Score brought to you by freescore.com. Life costs more without Free Score. Mets were up 2-0. That's tied it up. David Wright's 3-run homer untied it. Chris Carter's 2-run pinch hit home run has extended the Mets lead. Now looking for more against Colin Ballister with Tolley at first and nobody out. Ruben Tejada 1 for 2 and a walk today. Dunn playing behind Tolley at first. Tejada late on that fastball, 0-1. Luis Castillo is batting 9th in the order. He's on deck. Over the head of Tejada. 1-1. He's had a scout all afternoon.
Yes.
Now Ballister's 1-2, and it's up and away. Tomorrow is the last game of the season. Mike Pelfrey against Livan Hernandez in game number 162. That's a lot of games. Tejada hits it out to center field, and Maxwell in to grab it for the first out of the inning. What do you suppose
I think it's the perfect amount of games.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I know 154 was a number for many years. I think it's perfect, 162.
How do you think they ever decided that baseball season needed to be so long?
How did they decide on 90 feet, 60 feet 6 inches? I mean, it's all perfect.
It's an accident of birth.
Yeah, but it's all perfect. You didn't have to change it. You know, there's always talk, and they're never going to do it, but there's always talk, boy, it'd be great to make the NBA floors bigger because these guys are so fast. Or the hockey rings, raise the baskets. Never any talk about that in baseball.
Off the glove of the pitcher, Ballister, and into left field. And Castillo's got himself a base hit. Well, if he'd let it go, it might have been a double play. But Ballister, having himself a rough time, got in the way.
Oh, it was absolutely a double play, and he's 6 foot 6 inches tall. That's the only reason he could get that glove on that baseball.
So he's a little annoyed with himself.
Do you think it should be less games? You like the 154, or?
No, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that, you know, football they play 16. They used to play 12.
Well, they're going to play 18 pretty soon.
Right. But, you know, hockey they play a certain. I'm just saying, how did they decide that you needed to play so many games? Why was baseball not invented as a 3-day-a-week sport like basketball or hockey? Why was it invented as a 6 or 7 day a week sport?
I'd have to argue that Keith might. We should save this question for when Keith's in the booth.
Well, I mean, for you it was a, you know, 3 times every 2 weeks.
That's right. So. That's right.
Pagan hits one well to center field, chasing Maxwell back, and he gets there to make the grab. Tolley tags at second. He'll move up. What was that? Maxwell tossed the ball to Niger Morgan, or to Willie Harris. What was that? Did he think it was the third out?
He had to. Earlier in the game, he filled the one hopper back to him with his bare hand.
Yep, he thought that was the third out. Just tossed it over to Willie Harris. Inning not over, my friend. You know, this is a guy who was recruited to play at Harvard. He was Maxwell Smart.
That's right.
Not so smart there. 2 out. Feliciano takes ball 1.
But that's one of the great joys of baseball, isn't it? That it's every single day and every morning when you wake up, and, well, not most people now, but when I get up and get the papers, physical newspapers.
You mean like made out of paper?
Yes. Print. Get some black on your fingers occasionally. You see the box scores. It's one of the greatest joys in life. And if you meet people who can interpret the entire game just through the box score, it's really something special.
Feliciano drives one to right field, but Harris is there, and he reaches up and makes a Willie Harris catch. Well, he had to throw one in before the season was over. Willie Harris with a nice, spectacular grab, but this is even more spectacular. Chris Carter with his first career pinch hit home run, a 2-run shot, and the Mets of a 5-run lead going to the ninth. Manny Acosta takes over the pitching for New York.
Well, Takahashi was warming up, but once it was not a save opportunity, thanks to Chris Carter, Manny Acosta is going to get these last 3 outs.
Ian Desmond, Willie Harris, and Wilson Ramos, the 3 scheduled hitters for Washington. Mets 7 runs, 11 hits. The Nationals 2 runs and 5 hits. Desmond 0 for 4 today. 1 for 7 in this series. And Acosta throws a first pitch fastball for a strike. Mets have used 7 pitchers today. Earlier this week, they had a game in which they used 8 pitchers in a 9-inning game to tie a club record. Today, the Mets used a relief pitcher as a starter and a starting pitcher as a reliever.
7 rookies in the lineup.
And 1 definitive at bat for David Wright. I mean, it's game number 161. People will tell you that this game has no meaning. This game has had meaning for David Wright.
I agree.
Toward the hole and a base hit for Desmond to start the 9th inning. So the Nats have their 6th hit of the game. Coming up next on Pix 11 after the ball game today, it's Scrubs. And on SNY, it's Lincoln Mercury post-game live right after the game with all the highlights, all the analysis, and all the interviews. Here's Willie Harris up for the 2nd time. Drew a walk his first time up.
I'm going to watch.
Takes a fastball strike.
I'm going to watch because I want those cats to tell me how far due this home run was. I mean, that was tremendous home run.
Well, it would have been rattling around the bridge if it hadn't hit just on the edge of the Pepsi porch. To the backstop, and down to second base goes Desmond. Wild pitch charge to Acosta.
Well, ball is supposed to be outside and down. Ball not only missed Tolley, missed Harris, caught a piece of the umpire.
They're underway in San Francisco. The Giants and Padres playing game 2 of that series. With Barry Zito pitching for the Giants. The Padres threatening in the first. Got the first 2 men on against Zito. After the Padres pummeled Matt Cain last night to win the opener of that series and get within 2 games of first place in a game of the wild card lead. The other game of import is in the National League in Atlanta, being delayed by rain at the start. The Phillies and the Braves.
If they get a couple of runs early, San Diego, all of the pressure. Does that bases loaded now for San Diego? On the board it says.
Yep, bases loaded with 1 out.
If San Diego scores some runs early, the pressure that is going to be on San Francisco is going to be enormous. Because then you start to think, do we blow this 3-game lead with 3 to go?
And then the question is, will they throw Lincecum tomorrow on 3 days rest
for the 2nd consecutive time,
or would they save him for a potential 1-game playoff on Monday?
I would save him, personally.
I think so too. You have enough good starters on that team, you can afford to. Here's the 2-2, and Harris takes a call, 3rd strike. Acosta has the first down in the 9th as Harris is caught looking, reluctantly exits.
Lincecum is a Seaver in 73 moment, kind of. Good breaking ball in that outside corner.
Let's see, Cain pitched last night. Would that be Bumgardner?
Bumgardner.
Or would it be Sanchez?
Sanchez, sorry. Wrong. Sanchez.
Only lunging for that fastball. Wilson Ramos at the plate, 3 for 4 today, 2 doubles, and an RBI single in the 7th that tied the game. He's had the best day by far of any of the Nats. Costa out of that last sliver of sunshine. And the breaking ball off the plate, 2-1. Adam Dunn waiting on deck. And Ramos takes the fastball outside, 3-1. Takahashi beginning to throw again in the Mets bullpen in case Acosta needs help here in the ninth. And Ramos takes a strike, borderline, 3-2. Full count to Ramos with Desmond at second and 1 out. 7-2 Mets, top of the ninth. And the breaking ball lifted to right. Feliciano retreating. And he puts it away for the second out. Backing and going to third is Desmond. But now the Nats are down to their final out of the afternoon with Adam Dunn coming up. Dunn came into the game as a pinch hitter in the 7th inning and drew an intentional walk. That turned out to be the right maneuver because then Igarashi came out of the bullpen, struck out Justin Maxwell with the bases loaded. That kept the game tied. And in the bottom of that 7th, Wright hit the 3-run homer to give the Mets the lead. Dunn watches high, ball 1. So the Mets 1 out away from taking the first 2 games of this series and notching their 79th win of the year. And Dunn swinging over that one, 1-1. Padres just scored a run on a bases loaded walk to Yorvik Torrealba, 1-0 San Diego.
Do you feel a little tightness out there in San Francisco?
Dunn bounces one foul. Now it's 1-2, and the Nats are down to their final strike.
Tim Stauffer is pitching for San Diego. He's been their best pitcher in September.
Forced into duty as a starting pitcher late in the year. 1-2 from Acosta. And it's in the dirt. Totally blocks it. 2-2. Underway in Atlanta now. The Phillies and the Braves. After the Phillies pounded Atlanta last night.
San Diego win and Atlanta loss gets them tied for the wild card.
Might have a chance for a 3-way tie. Two and 2 to Adam Dunn, and that's taken low, and a full count.
Jerry's shaking his head. I know why he's shaking his head. Come on, it's 7-2. Throw a strike. Let the guy put the ball in play.
Well, he threw a 3-2 breaking ball to Ramos.
And let's go have the post-game spread. Come on.
3-2 to Dunn. Fastball struck him out, and the ball game is over. Manny Acosta fans 2 in the ninth, and the Mets on the strength of home runs from Duda, Wright, and Carter post a 7-2 win, and they've taken the first 2 games of this series.
You know, Jerry went away with these Mets to get into the 80 mark, the 79th win tonight. David Wright's at bat was a thing of beauty. After getting knocked back, stuck his nose in there and hit a 3-run home run to really ensure the Mets victory this afternoon. R.A. Dickey with a beautiful relief effort. Raul Valdez was outstanding, and the bullpen outstanding for the Mets this afternoon.
So the Mets started a reliever. He did well. Valdez, they used a starter in relief. R.A. Dickey, he did well. Ryota Igarashi got one out with the bases loaded to get the win. His first Major League victory as the Mets beat Tyler Clippard for the second straight day. Game summary brought to you by Chrysler. Visit Chrysler.com today. Acosta puts on the finishing touch as he strikes out Adam Dunn. Mets played long ball today. They win it 7-2 over the Nationals. Back with more from Citi Field in a moment.